All right, everybody, here we go. Today is Friday, April 24th, 2026. My name is Robb Carter. Welcome to the future. Number one podcast in America. What's going on, Isaiah?
What's up? Good morning, everyone.
Let's get this ball rolling. Today's show is sponsored by peopleslobbymo.com. Peopleslobbymo.com. Like and share if you can donate to the cause. We'd love it. You can donate to peopleslobbymo.com, peopleslobbymo.com. We're just trying to get a conversation started with our government so that we can fix some of the things that we'd like to have at least contemplated, if you don't mind, and get these things resolved. So peopleslobbymo.com. It helps out Isaiah and I to spread the message. When we come into Missouri and we start having events, it helps us put on the events. We've got a lot of things scheduled, and any kind of help you can give us, we greatly appreciate it. Just go to peopleslobbymo.com. Donate button up in the top right-hand corner. It can be as little as $5. We're not looking to break anybody. We're just saying participate with us so that we can get things done on your behalf. We are I think we are the one outfit. There's several. I shouldn't say we're the one, but with the biggest microphone that is willing to take the most risk to get things done for the people of Missouri and ultimately the people of this country. It is peopleslobbymo.com. All right, let's get to some headlines, if you don't mind, Isaiah. Let's get the ball rolling here. We have a lot to talk about. This is going to be a great show. It's interesting. Sometimes the idea for a great show comes to you at the Friday is usually in radio business is one of the least listened to shows. And I have something, I just want to lay out some things I think are incredibly interesting today. As I said yesterday, let's have no guests today. Let's do what we do. Let's get into these
Friday.
Free Speech Friday. I'm going to be very active in the app. So if you are somebody who likes to participate, you want to have your voice heard, we're going to look at the, I shouldn't say the app. I'm so used to saying the app, but
chat.
The chat. There you go. Thank you. The chat from, all the different platforms will communicate with you today. But let me get through the top stories according to Grok AI. This is what the world supposedly is talking about, Isaiah. Top 10 stories in America today, Friday, April 24th, 2026. U.S. escalation in Strait of Hormuz amid Iran tensions. The U.S. military boarded another tanker suspected of smuggling Iranian oil. President Trump ordered forces to shoot and kill Iranian boats laying mines. This comes as the U.S. maintains a blockade with concerns over munition supplies after the conflict draining stealth cruise missiles. We're going to talk about this a little bit today. Are people still buying into the war propaganda? I think they are. I look through social media, and especially conservative social media, and Trump will make a statement that we're giving a ceasefire for 3 days, and then it's 5 days, then it's a week, then we control the straits, then we don't control the straits. Now there's a blockade. They didn't adhere to the ceasefire. They did adhere to the ceasefire. Israeli is bombing Lebanon. Israeli is not bombing Lebanon. No, they broke the ceasefire. It's all over the map. It's just ridiculous. And that's why I say when these military generals, AKA broadcasters, come on and tell you exactly what's happening, like a Jesse Waters or these type of people, I just have to roll my eyes at it because it's just bizarre. Nobody has any idea what's going on over there in the Middle East. The propaganda is from both sides, both Iranian propaganda, Middle East propaganda, European propaganda, Chinese propaganda, American propaganda, Latin American propaganda, and it's all over the map. That is why this country was protected from domestic propaganda with the Smith-Mundt Act. It was overturned in 2013 by the Republicans bought into it, and Republicans actually got it done, but it was introduced by the Obama administration, and now we have domestic propaganda. We have no idea what's going on, and I guess that's for the benefit of all Americans, right? Isaiah, I remember when everybody was clamoring, they're like, please give us more domestic propaganda. The people want domestic propaganda. I don't think there was any call for that, but your government did that to you. We'll talk later on. We have a clip from Robb Carter as well. Robb Carter is saying if you want to get politics back in line in this country, you're going to have to take the money out of it. Earlier when we were prepping for the show, Isaiah, how many people do you think in the government want to restrict money within politics? Not many.
No.
Right? So the people don't want all this money in politics. If you go around to the people and go, do you want billions of dollars needed to have a campaign, or do you want your mailman neighbor who's a great guy who could have been who could have a degree from WashU or Harvard or anything else, but decided he wanted to be a postman because he wanted to be at home with his family, wanted a nice simple life, but he wants to fix this country? Well, he doesn't have a chance because he's not a billionaire. You got to be a billionaire now to run for office and have any success or money from the intelligence agencies or the like. So Robb Carter is saying you need a convention of states, get money out of politics, and then we'd have real debates, real conversation, and real people running for government in this country. I think we're a long way from it, but My guess is we should get money out of
What do you
politics.
think about the Convention of States?
In that particular instance, I'm not so. I'm kind of for it. If we're trying to get rid of money in politics, it's what we could talk about all day, right?
Yeah.
Money is what's running the show. Donors run Missouri. The citizens have nothing to do with anything, and they don't. The most citizens don't recognize that because it's foreign to them. They're very busy. They're not spending time in Jefferson City. They're not reading bills. They're not watching the process take place. They can't even watch the proceedings of the Senate because neither party seems to want to live stream so that citizens can watch their Senate in action. The whole thing's crazy. But
we need to make an audio clip of Mike Moon asking to inquire of the lobbyist. So that
we should get that.
We need to. Yeah, we'll make that.
Yeah, Mike Moon is the one guy, and Bryant Wolfen, who want to follow the Constitution, strict conservatives, and they're the outcast within the Republican Party, which at one time I believed was a conservative operation. Didn't you? I thought it was a conservative game. Yeah. Apparently not anymore. It's been watered down to where you can barely tell the Republicans from the Democrats, other than rhetoric. That's another thing. Have you seen my replacement on Real Talk from the 11 o'clock hour? Her name is Heather Overstreet. Yep. Fine young woman, as I understand it. I had her on my show when I was on the radio. She seems very bright. I like her a lot. She is now beginning to sell talking points. She's selling talking points from the GOP. I was watching some of her social media posts the other day, and God love her. I mean, I'm sure she's going to get to the bottom of it. I hope that she doesn't turn into just a mouthpiece for these people. But what she's talking about with this bill are things that she doesn't understand at all, and she's giving people trouble because she says she understands it. And I'm like, understand what? They don't even understand it because the rules for the bill haven't been written. You're saying that you trust what the Republicans or future House and Senate people are going to do with the bill. You can't possibly know that, and that is the sticking point for people that are on my side that are arguing about it. They're saying, hey, wait a minute. You guys raised the gasoline tax on us. You've doubled the budget under Republican leadership. We don't trust that you're going to lower the tax burden for Missouri citizens. I guess she ignores that. And I just
isn't it a Democrat ideology to give the government more control?
Yes.
That's what I don't understand.
Yes.
How can you say this is a Republican talking point or defend this as a Republican position when what this bill does is it gives the government more control over the people?
It's really that simple. Yeah. I'm glad you put it that way because that kind of clarifies what I'm trying to get at. Yeah. What we used to think of as a small government conservative ideology was shrinking government at all costs. Every time government gets into something, the conservatives used to say, well, they shouldn't be in education. They shouldn't be in this business. They shouldn't be in that business. Now they're in every business and they're in your private business and they're all over your life. And we have Heather Overstreet, who's out there, from what I can tell, is really just parroting Republican talking points. And when you watch her videos, that's another thing that I found interesting. I was watching her video, and when you do the social media, you have the little clips in the middle. Her little clip in the middle was of some Democrat saying that she didn't vote for a particular bill because it had anti-trans language in it. And I responded to her and I said, Heather, the Democrats are completely irrelevant. This is what the Republicans do. If they're working together, if I was to plan things out, I would have some crazy Democrat say something insane on the floor of the House or the Senate. I'd clip it. I'd send it out to my influencers like Heather Overstreet. She'd put it right in the middle of one of her deals, and people would go, "Oh my God, the Democrats are so crazy." The Democrats are completely irrelevant.
Yes,
they're irrelevant in the state of Missouri. They have no say in anything that goes on in the state of Missouri. And why can't people recognize that's going on? Who could possibly care what the Democrats have to say? They have the Republicans have the majority at every level. They hold every state office, the governorship, both houses, the House and the Senate. Who cares what the Democrats have to say about anything at all, ever? Concentrate on the people running the show in the state of Missouri, and that is the Republican Party, Heather. And I love you. I think you're very talented. I hope you do very well. I'm just saying, don't get caught up in this trap. You're going to become a shill. You're going to get destroyed if that's what you do. And I'd like to see you be successful. I'd like to see young people paying attention to you. I think your heart's in the right place. I have to believe your heart's in the right place. But I'm telling you as a matter of certainty that the people that you're surrounding yourself with, the ones that are sending you those little clips so you can put that out on your social media, and they all start to accelerate you. I was watching yesterday, Isaiah. They're all just accelerating everything that she's saying. All of the Republican shills are accelerating what she has to say. And I just find it makes me want to take a shower after I watch it because they're bringing this poor girl into their web.
I had seen someone I'd never, ever seen on X before. This lady, I guess, who's the some comms director for the House, I think, for the House of Representatives.
Yep.
And she was reposting Heather's video. and she has like 500 followers. I'd never seen this lady post ever, and she's reposting that.
I was watching all the reposting. It's all of the Republican hacks.
Yeah,
that's who's reposting her stuff. Listen, you should go just watch and see who retweeted it. If you want to know who the Republican hacks are in the Republican government here in the state of Missouri, just look at all the people that were accelerating Heather Overstreet's comment yesterday. Okay, where she says that some lobbyist called her and wanted to argue with her about the bill, and she says the lobbyist was condescending to her, and she said, it was. She was trying to be manipulated by this lobbyist and so forth. The reality is, I don't know what the lobbyist said. All I know is that if you are parroting Republican talking points and then at the same time trying to make fun of the Democrats as though they're a threat to the Republican apparatus in the state of Missouri, well, then you're already behind the eight ball because you don't know what you're talking about. The Democrats, whatever ridiculous stuff they say, is only to make Republicans fearful of the Democrats, which works in their favor. That's why they're clipping it and sending it to you. I'm going to guess, Heather, that you didn't watch all of the proceedings and just found that clip on your own. I'm going to imagine somebody within the Republican Party who's got your ear sent you that clip and you tagged it right into that social media and try to make it look like the Democrats are the problem in the state of Missouri when they have no power at all. None. Zero.
Federal government.
Zero power. Okay, sorry.
Just like the federal government.
Yes, it's the same game. The game is to make the other side seem like they are intolerable to you, which, from rhetoric they are. But you're the one running the show. So let's concentrate on the people that are governing the people of Missouri. Let's concentrate on those people so that we can get things done. If the Democrats take power or get one of the chambers or get anything, then we can start bringing the Democrats into the conversation. But at this point, they have no power. It is the Republican Party that conservatives and libertarians and people that care about the Constitution need to pay attention to. And I'll leave it there. Yes. Let's go back to the headlines because I got sidetracked. It irritated me a little bit yesterday. I feel bad for this girl because I can already tell that the Republican establishment is just trying to swallow her up. And they're very nice. Yeah. They tell you how wonderful you are and how talented you are and how great you're going to be. We're going to make you a star. If you just read and send out our talking points, we are going to make you a star, Heather. We're going to all use our platforms to accelerate your message. It's going to be so great. You're going to get out to the young people and it's going to spread conservatism. And it's all a ruse.
Yeah, we need to use our influence.
The way the whole system works sucks.
Need to use our influence to hold them accountable. No, it's burping anyways. I had some coming up. Yeah, we need to use our influence to hold them accountable, not to we can support the things that they do well.
Absolutely.
But we need to also call out the things that they're not doing well. I think that's what the message that you're trying to get across, because she's feeling, this is what I get from it, and I could be wrong. Heather, tell us if I'm wrong here, but I like Heather.
I like Heather. I think she's very talented, and I think she's going to do great on the radio. I got nothing but high hopes for her. I just don't like when you're basically running across a bunch of charlatans that are beginning to use you, and you shouldn't be used. Don't let them use you. Use your own mind. Listen to both sides of the argument. Pay attention to what actually happens in the state of Missouri versus what you're told, and then we'll have an understanding of whether you're making sense or not. Go ahead, Isaiah. I'm sorry.
No, you summarized it very well. I think she just feels that, which a lot of people have felt this way, and I think there's still people that feel this way. They have good intentions, and they feel like they can influence it from the outside in to help change, to influence change, and we want to still do that. But I don't know if the Missouri Republican Party specifically is just too far gone to bring them back, or what we need to do. But things have to change, and I don't see one single person, one influencer changing the entire party, especially when you're parroting things that they are actually saying.
Right. Exactly. Lisa, one of our listeners, Lisa does not like when I get riled up.
I know. I saw that.
And I'll say that you pop her up on the screen real fast.
Yeah.
I just want to say, Lisa, I don't know who Lisa is, but she makes these comments toward me on occasion. Lisa, it is just to grab attention. It's my subconscious allowing you to see the emotion in it. I've said that 1,000 times. It shouldn't scare you. I'm not going to lose my mind. I'm not going to go beat my head against the wall or any of these things. I'm just trying to make a point that you have to be emphatic.
There we go.
When people are stealing your money and stealing your future and indoctrinating the minds of young people, it should alarm you. It's what I used to say to Isaiah. I said, if your 2-year-old child is walking through the front yard and they're getting ready to get into traffic and there's a semi coming and you're watching your child walk in front of the semi, do you go, Billy, come on back, Billy, it's going to be okay, Billy? And then they're about 3 feet from walking into the highway. Do you go, Billy, stop? I'm trying to say, Billy, stop. That's all. right? You don't whisper and you don't say it in a monotone voice when you're trying to impress upon people the importance and the situation that we find ourselves in America.
Yeah.
It is not business as usual in America.
Yeah.
If it was business as usual, I would have never left. I like the family at Real Talk. I like them. I'm rooting for them. People think that I'm rooting for their demise. I'm not. I hope they're very successful. I like the people over there. All of the hosts I was friendly with. Rick and Tracy gave me an opportunity of a lifetime. I appreciate everything they did, and I hope that radio station flies to the moon. I just hope they do it in the right context. And I do not think it is patty cake time. I think it is time to get very serious about the things that are going on in this country. Nobody has any clue in this country what our government is doing. None. You can't possibly. Now, you have all these people that think they know what they're doing. They're trying to dissect what Donald Trump says on Truth Social every day. They're trying to figure out whether Fox News is a real organization or just a propaganda outfit. Everybody is confused. Does Donald Trump like Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson? Now, does he hate them? Does he hate Mark Levin and all these people that didn't like him and now he loves them? You have to look around at your surroundings and say, when your government is got you in a position where you don't know what is happening, there's a reason for that. If the government wanted to unify its citizens, there would be speeches, there would be things that would draw us together. We'd say, listen, our differences are what makes us great, but it is the debate that makes us extraordinary. It is the ability to have the conversation, to talk about really interesting things, very serious things, not the things that are within the bubble, which is what Fox News and CNN, and I guess that's the way radio is going to be from this point moving forward. But that's not the way it should be. We should be able to talk, and we should be able to get angry, and we should laugh and cry. You ever see, what's his name? He was the coach of the North Carolina State basketball team, Jim Valvano, and he had cancer, and they wanted him to come speak at the ESPY Awards for ESPN.
Okay.
And the guy says he can barely walk. He's got stage 4 cancer. He's got, maybe a month left to live. And everybody said he's not going to be able to give up and get that speech. So they get him up the stairs, and he said, if you laugh, think, and cry every day, that's a good day. And when you think about what he's saying, laugh, think, and cry, what he's talking about is bring your emotions to tears for something that hits you in the heart because it strikes you. Laugh every day, laugh out loud, try to find something that makes you laugh out loud every day for that release, and to think, to sit and contemplate and think about your life and things that matter to you. He said, if you can do that, you'll have a full day. And this is a guy that was pulled off one of the greatest miracles in sports history in when they beat Phi Slamma Jamma in Houston. And he was nearing the end of his life. And he said, he was a coach. He was an inspirational person. And he said, emotion is what life is all about. In fact, when he was coaching in the ACC, that was when Michael Jordan was playing for North Carolina. They had some of the best teams in history in that era. And he beat them all to win the national championship. Hakeem Olajuwon, Drexler, Ralph Sampson from Virginia, if you know college basketball. Some of the best college basketball teams in the history of college basketball were in that era, and he beat them all on the way to the with a team that had no business beating. They were when you talk about David and Goliath, nobody thought they had a chance in the world of even getting to the tournament, much less winning it. And it was all done by a guy that was incredibly emotional, and the people loved him. The state of North Carolina loved him. His teammates, if you've ever seen the 30 for 30 on ESPN, they start choking up immediately when they start to talk about him. And it is because he was able to strike their emotion. That's all I'm trying to do. I'm not a lunatic. I'm not somebody who's running around screaming at people. I'm trying to make you understand, and my audience, how important it is to me that we get these things right. Okay? Whatever little part that I have in it, it's I'm going to do everything I can to set the record straight because I'm watching it every day. I wouldn't say that I'm the smartest person in the world, but I'm not an idiot. You can see what's happening in the state of Missouri. You can see what's happening around our country. Nobody knows anything. Nobody understands the process. Why would the state of Missouri, would you, I'd say this to my good friend, Lisa, would you be upset if the government of Missouri restricted you from watching them pass bills that you're going to be governed by? Would that bother you at all? Missouri is one of 2 states that doesn't live stream from the Senate. Why do you think that would be? Why do you think the Missouri Senate goes, nah, we don't really care if the people watch what we do? If we want to pass tax legislation and usurp the Constitution because we're going to sell to the people of Missouri that we're going to lower their income tax rates and that we're going to be able to expand the tax base, everybody that's involved may think it's a good idea, but ultimately they're asking you to trust them. And at the same time, they're not going to go out and say, when you start to see the TV commercials and everything, they're not going to say, hey, trust us. They're going to say, hey, get rid of the income tax so we bring in business and be more competitive. It's the most regressive tax. We got to do this, that, and the other. It's all BS. It's all BS. Now, it may turn out to be a great bill. I've invited Bishop Davidson on. I'd like to come on and have him explain it to me. When I text Bishop Davidson about it, I simply said, the problem is trust. I want you to come in and explain to us how you got over the hurdle of trust. How did you go, okay, I trust these people. I trust the next Senate, the next House, with all of their past negotiations on taxes with the people of Missouri. Now I trust them to lower the tax burden on the people of Missouri. Just give me how you got there. Right? That's all I'm asking. You don't even have to explain the bill to me anymore. Just explain to me how you jumped the hurdle of trust for this income tax / sales tax expansion, usurping of the Constitution.
Yeah, because what I understand is that you're just hoping. You're not using any actual evidence. It's not evidence-based. It's not, you're not using any past experience to say this is what they're going to do in the future. No, that's just hopium, like you say, right?
It's nothing but hopium. I want to get there.
We're going in now, so I know we probably got to get to the.
There's so many topics that I want to get to. So, and I really want to talk about Donald Trump, because you and I started on it yesterday, but it's something I've been contemplating. I knew when I was at the radio station, nobody was telling me what I could and couldn't say. I don't want to imply that at all. I just knew by the reaction from the people that were very turned off by it, letters that we were getting, the pressure that was being put on the station. When I talk about Donald Trump and Israel, my firm belief is something very sinister is going on. I don't know exactly what it is. I know a lot of people love Israel. You've been to Israel. This is not about the Israeli people. I say that over and over again.
Yeah, of course not.
But the people that are surrounding him right now, everybody that surrounds him are Zionists. And I'm questioning whether he's really a Christian or not. I know he was reading the Bible, and everybody was sending me, Donald Trump's doing great. He's reading the Bible. And I said, that's fine, but is he a Christian? Is he going to govern like a Christian?
He was reading?
What Bible verses was he reading? I didn't pay attention to it at all. I just heard about it.
It's from 2 Chronicles, and it's I'm pretty sure, if I'm remembering correctly, pretty sure it's about like building the temple and things like that.
No way.
Yeah. So I'll verify. I'll verify while we're going through the show, but I'm pretty sure.
All right.
If I'm remembering right. We watch so much content, guys. Like we're just consuming videos and videos and videos of so much stuff. Sometimes it just kind of gets in the back.
You know what's happened to me, Isaiah? What's happened to me recently is I don't want to read much anymore. There was a time when I used to love to read. I get books all over the house. I was a voracious reader. Is that right? Voracious? Is that voracious? Is that the right word?
Yep.
And now, because because of social media, and it's happened to me, my attention span is limited. I don't have the attention and the patience to sit down and read 50 pages of a book like I used to. I remember when I would do book reports in school, I'd read the whole book in one day. I remember I was at UMSL when I was at school, and I was working full time, raising a child and trying to get through classes, and I was competitive, so I wanted to get good grades. I can remember reading an entire book. It was like 20 pages long. I read it in 2 days because I didn't go to the classes. It was one of those, they didn't check your attendance, so I just didn't go to the classes. I got sick after that, by the way. I ended up in the hospital. But that's when my asthma was killing me. But I had a buddy, Rich, and he was in the same class. So we sat side by side in a home that we were renting and read 350 pages. I think I did most of it and read 350 pages, went and took the exam, aced it, got an A. And then came home, and my body was so worn out that I ended up having an asthma attack that night, and my buddy had to take me to the hospital, and I was in the hospital for 10 days because I couldn't breathe. But that's how I used to do it. I could sit down and just nail it. I used to say, give me any task, and in 24 hours I can knock it down. Now I can't. Now I can't read 3 pages that somebody sends me without being, put off track. And it's embarrassing, but that's the truth. Okay, let me get to these, just the corporate headlines, then we'll get into the things that I want to talk about. Number 2, it says, Israel-Lebanon ceasefire extended by 3 weeks. Trump announced the extension through a Hezbollah lawmaker, rejected it, and minor changes of fire were reported. This provides a temporary pause and broader Middle East tensions affecting U.S. policy. Number 3, severe tornadoes hit Oklahoma. Did you see some of those tornadoes on video?
Oh, yeah.
Pretty wicked, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're talking about the tornadoes. U.S. soldier arrested. We talked about this just a bit. U.S. soldier arrested in Polymarket insider trading scandal. Army of Special Forces Master Sergeant Gannon Ken Van Dyke was charged with using classified info from the Maduro raid in Venezuela to win $400,000 plus on prediction market bets. He allegedly profited significantly from non-public details, and then it goes on from there. Did you hear about this story? This guy supposedly went to Polymarkets, made a bet that they were going to get Maduro, and won $400,000. Donald Trump, he was arrested. Donald Trump was asked about it. Donald Trump goes, do I like these things? No, but it is what it is. It's a whole new world out there. And I would agree with that. I don't know what
Mhm.
polymarket is, but I guess you can bet on anything now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's just betting on just something happening. So people are betting on us invading Venezuela before the Maduro capture. They were betting on the Iran war and things like that. So I just saw this other guy in the UK. He bet that the temperature would get above a certain temperature in this area. So he went to one of the thermometers that measures the temperature, and he turned on a hand dryer. They have him on video with the hand dryer putting it to the thermometer so that it would go above the temperature so he would win the money. So it's crazy. You can bet on anything nowadays.
I don't know if that's good. I was a big gambler. I was talking to an advertiser last night, and they said they was having dinner at the casino. And
Mhm.
I thought it said playing at the casino, and I said, "What are you playing? Craps, blackjack? What are you playing?" He said, "No, I don't give my money. I work too hard for it." And I thought, okay. I said, "Well, I used to be one of those guys that would gamble. I'm telling you, I used to go to Vegas and gamble a lot. I would go out there and spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars.
Mhm.
I used to play golf with a buddy of mine, and this
Mhm.
is before Jesus came into my life, and I started thinking gambling away my money is probably not a wise thing to do. But I used to go play golf with a buddy of mine, and we bet $500 a hole. Now we were
Mhm.
friends, so if anybody got
Yeah.
completely massacred, we weren't writing $10,000 checks or anything, but still, just the juice. I used to like the action, and now I look back and think, what a moron. All right, number 5. NFL draft underway. Don't care about that. Number 6, Trump administration reclassifies state licensed medical marijuana. Acting AG Todd Blanche signed an order moving FDA approval state licensed medical marijuana from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3. This eases research, taxes, and regulations without full federal legalization.
Yep.
I don't know if that's good or bad. I think my marijuana smokers are going to like that.
Yeah.
I don't know why it would be classified with stuff like heroin and so forth, because
Yeah.
marijuana, whether you like or don't like it, whether you use it for medical uses or to watch a movie or to go party down, whatever you got going on,
Yeah.
it doesn't feel like it's that powerful of a drug that it would be a schedule.
I don't see
Schedule
I don't
1.
see pot smokers hanging out on the street.
Right, exactly. Yeah, get rid of get those drugs off the street. Get fentanyl
Yeah.
off the street. That'd be really good. Does the
Yeah.
Bible say anything about marijuana, cocaine, any of those types of things? Is it mentioned in the Bible? Any kind
It
of
just
drug use?
says to be of sober mind. And so that is there's a lot of up for interpretation. I think, and that's the debate between the Catholics and the Protestants, right? Is sola scriptura versus what does the church tell you? But it just says to be of a sober mind. And so I think that is between you and God. What does that look like?
So
Because there's nothing against drinking, right? But
right.
it's being drunk. And so I like to use alcohol just as an example because they are drinking during the biblical times. We can see that. And so
Yep.
Jesus drinks wine, they're drinking wine, but they don't allow themselves to get out of control to become drunkards. And
Correct.
so I think that's where
I do not like being around drunk people. Do you? I don't like being around,
it's uncomfortable.
I especially slobbering drunks or loud drunks or violent drunks. It's just, I get the willies every time I'm around that situation, and I just I gotta get out of it. And I'm not a square by any stretch of the imagination. There's nothing that you can think of out there that's a sin that I haven't conquered at some point in my life.
Exactly.
I matured. Well, I matured a little bit more. I don't think I've ever matured, but I started to mature in my 50s, really, to where I didn't look at things like a child. I started to think, okay, the world is bigger than I recognize. There's a spiritual component to this that I've always prayed. I've been a guy that prays all the time, but I think I prayed wrong. I prayed for things for me, and I look at it and go, God, just use me however you want to. Whatever you want me to do, say, however you want me to believe, just guide me in the right direction. I'm trying to stay on the straight and narrow. I want to be a good person. And that's what I have to pray for, because I think left to my own devices, as Lisa might have said earlier, calm down, Rob. Left to my own devices, I'd probably get myself in trouble. All right, let me move on. These are the corporate headlines. It says DOJ to review Epstein files. The Department of Justice is examining handling of the Epstein-related documents, drawing renewed scrutiny amid ongoing public interest. And I would say this to my Donald Trump supporters. The greatest thing that has been done in recent political history is revealing all of the malfeasance that was going on in the media, our government, the banks, the borders, foreign countries, oil, everything. If you're a Donald Trump hater, you got to at least give the man credit, because he may be playing 5D chess. You can't say blanketly that he's not, right? I disagree with almost every move that he's making. I have a lot of questions about Donald Trump, but you cannot deny that we know more about what's going on in our world today, more about just the function of it, how it's been structured for many years, the New World Order, the Federal Reserve, the USS Liberty. That story has come out recently where Israel bombed a U.S. ship to bring them into war. All of these things. we're going to find out whether, this conversation about UFOs, at the end of it, we're going to have an understanding whether this is all just a bunch of BS or whether it is not. There's more information that has been piled on top of us since Donald Trump became a political figure. We have to at least give him credit for that. If you are a Donald Trump hater, at least he got us into politics. He made politics interesting again. He got a lot of people talking about it, creating their own opinions. Now, having said all that, do too many people listen to people like me and get their opinion from me? I don't want you to get your opinion from me. I want to give my opinion, and you can weigh it, and you may choose to agree with it or disagree with it, but I do not want to shove my opinion down your throat. I know I get very animated, and I can be very persuasive at times, but that is not my intent. I always say, and Isaiah will back it up, I like the people that are critical of me, sometimes even more the people that support me. I love the support. peopleslobbymo.com. I love the support. If you can contribute to what we're doing, contribute to Isaiah. We got to pay Isaiah. I'm not rolling in dough, but we got to pay Isaiah.
I got to pay my babysitter, really. That's where I just transfer the money.
Right. Exactly. But we have bills to pay. We have things that we want to accomplish, and we need everybody's help. If you're listening and you're a daily listener, spread the message, like and share the message. And then if you can donate, if you can't, don't just maybe help in some way. If you don't have the money, if you don't have a dollar,
volunteer opportunities too.
We're not asking you to give money that you don't have, but if you can spare it, it just helps us get the message out. That's all we're talking about. Number 8, it says Meta plans major job cuts. Meta is Mark Zuckerberg, right?
Yeah.
Zuckerbrooks. Now Donald Trump's bringing him in.
Now that you said that, I gotta tell you about my wife. Sorry, because you slipped up. My wife has been tracking every slip up you've made. She's got 3 now that she loves.
I do it all the time.
As you said, Donald Trump. She says,
you got to get the clips.
I know. I told her. I said I'm going to get. You said Donald Trump, and then you said Chat GPS.
Yep.
When you're trying to say Chat GPT, and then she said something about Capital Adventures instead of Capital Venture. She's like, it is more like a Capital Adventure, to be honest.
that might not have been a slip, but I will say this:
yeah.
I do it all the time. There will be times when I go back and I'll watch if I have an interview or I have a segment that I think is really good. I will go back and I'll listen to it, and I'll sometimes get the entire message. People have got to be going, what is he talking about? Because I'll get the name wrong. So I'll be talking about X, Y, and Z person, and then it comes out a different name, and I'm like, they must have thought I was crazy. I think the audience knows where I'm going most of the time, but who knows?
Hey, it happens, I get countries mixed up all the time. That's my problem.
Well, what would be good is when I get fired up, as I was talking to that guy that did the brainwashing, and he talked about how the mind works. Mm-hmm. When I am laser focused and I'm angry, the words come out clear. My mind works in a more organized fashion. It's different when I get worked up. I don't know why. When I am calm, I make more mistakes than when I'm irate, which you would think would be just the opposite. And I mean irate in the sense that that's what I'm trying to portray, not necessarily how I'm feeling deep down inside. As I said before, when I left Real Talk, the common theme for people that were listening that day was that I had a meltdown at the end of the first hour. I just had enough, and I just walked out. And I was thinking, I walked out and I started talking to people on the phone, went and had lunch with my wife. There was no meltdown. It was just a decision of we're probably better separate than together. Right. Yeah. No hard feelings your way. I don't think they have any hard feelings toward me at all. I certainly hope not. And we just, we move our messages in a different direction, and everybody gets to determine what they want to listen to. Right. I think that's fair. Mm-hmm. And that's all that happened. It's not a major breakup. Like, we didn't divorce each other. We just said, you know what? Your business is probably better if I exit stage left, and my message is probably better if I exit stage right.
Yeah.
Fair? That's all.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all it was about. Number 9, other domestic incidences. Shooting and synagogue plot. A shooting at the Mall of Louisiana left 1 dead and 5 injured. Separately, 2 young people were arrested in a plot to attack a Texas synagogue. Here we go with the religious battles. I'm worried about that and have been. And then finally, number 10, wildfires and severe weather across southeast plains. Fast-moving wildfires in Georgia and Florida forced evacuations and destroyed homes. So a lot of weather activity going on, and a lot of war conversation going on. And now I want to talk about what I want to talk about. That's the corporate news headlines. I don't think we're going to talk about any of those, are we?
No.
Let's get rid of it.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the shredder. The first thing I want to talk about today. Where are my notes? Well, here's what we are going to talk about. Let's do that first. This David Wilcox has a lot of great videos out there, and I want to kind of dissect what David Wilcox was saying. If you don't know that name, if you haven't heard it in the news, David Wilcox is now considered to be the 12th scientist that passed away. These scientists that were working on anti-gravity technology, propulsion technology, all of these things associated with aliens and outer space and UFOs and the like. And then I don't know if you know this, Isaiah. Check this out. It says, I asked AI because somebody sent this to me. I said, did David Wilcock's biographer die shortly before Wilcock? So he had somebody, I guess, wrote a book about him. And it says, yes, according to multiple reports and community claims circulating since David Wilcock's death, David Wilcock, the prominent UFO researcher, paranormal author, and YouTuber, died by suicide on April 20, 2026 at the age of 53, very young, in Boulder, Colorado. And it says, the Boulder County Coroner's Office confirmed he took his own life. And then it says, his biographer, co-founder Win Free, how about that name? WYNN Free, Win Free, reportedly died on April 18, 2 days prior, 2026. Doesn't say why he died either. So his biographer died 2 days before David Wilcock died, according to X. I have not done a huge deep dive into that, but that would be kind of interesting, right? So we'll talk about David Wilcock. Some of the things that he was saying before he died, I find very interesting. And again, you know, if you're somebody who is just looking for information, David Wilcock dies, and now we're paying attention to him. I didn't even know who he was. I had seen his face. He'd rolled through my scroll before, Isaiah, but I was never paying attention to this paranormal guy, David Wilcock. But now I am, and I'm paying attention to what he said, and he said some very interesting things that we're going to get to later on in the show. I want to talk about assassination controversy. You know, we're going to play a clip. The Young Turks, if people know who the Young Turks are, they are debating whether the Donald Trump assassination was faked. We had my friend Trisha Hope on. She was quoted on a CNN report as saying something doesn't feel right about this. CNN explored it just a little bit. It always felt a little weird to me. I hate to say that it was faked because that's just a bridge too far for me. But the idea the idea that it was faked no longer scares me to death. I think that anything can be faked anymore. I really do. I think they can fake anything. Even the moon landing, I think, can be faked. I've asked you before, did we land on the moon in 1969? What do you think, Isaiah? Got to get it right.
I don't know.
You don't know? See,
I don't think so. I don't think so.
I don't buy it either, but you know, my buddy Max is much smarter, and he says we did, and I'm crazy.
The thing that I have a problem with is the footage, just because
it looks ridiculous.
If you look at the footage from the 60s and then you look at the cameras on the rockets we're sending now, somehow the footage is better from the 60s than it is now.
The thing
that's my only thing.
Yeah, the best argument that I heard against the moon landing was the telephone call with Nixon, because there's no delay.
No delay.
So if you're calling from the moon, speed travels at a certain sound. You can't possibly have a coherent conversation where we're talking back and forth like you are. And if you listen to the conversation between the astronaut and Richard Nixon, there's no break at all. They're talking just like you and I are right now, which made me go, yeah, they're right. I mean, you can't change the speed of sound, can you? That can't change. But anyway, we'll talk about, I want to talk about the assassination controversy, because two things that are just sticking in a lot of people's craw that, you know, most people don't want to talk about. They feel uncomfortable talking about. I just want to throw it out there and see what people think. Number one was the Trump assassination attempt. How do people feel about that? What do you really feel deep down inside? Is it just insane? Is it uncouth to have these kind of conversations, or with all of the fakery and theatrics that go on in government nowadays and on our television sets? Is it wise to at least contemplate whether that might have been a staged event? Number two is Erica Kirk. You know, we have some video of her. She did another Turning Point USA speech, and you know, my take on Erica Kirk, and you know, I just think she just comes off as like a terrible actress. That's the way she comes off to me. I can't help it. I don't, you know, God, please guide me in the right direction. But when I watch Erica Kirk, I just think, horrible actress. What is going on around here? Nothing feels authentic that she says ever to me. I mean, she feels like a phony. You know, she was smiling and laughing. Now everybody goes, Rob, that's just a strong Christian person. I'm like, I think I'm a strong Christian person. But if my wife dies, I'm going to be in a hole for a little bit. You're just not going to be able to drag me out of it. I can pray and wish and hope and try to be strong, but you're going to break me down. My dad today, Isaiah, and he's listening. My dad today, my mother died in 2003. My parents were divorced in like 1978, but they remained friends. They've known each other since they were kids. I think that they met when my mom was 13 years old. My dad today, if you bring up my mother, will start crying. He's 79 years old. You can't have a conversation about my mother with my father. I try not to bring it up because he's going to well up and he's going to start whimpering. To this day, he's 79 years old. I never saw a tear. I never saw any kind of reaction whatsoever. Does that mean my father and I are not faithful? I just think that it's a human emotion. When somebody you love and you lose them, you're going to get upset that you don't get to share the rest of this life with them. And you're going to get teared up about things they said and things they did. And they're not going to be able to raise your kids together. I've never seen that emotion from her, and that's just my take on it. So I want to talk about that just a little bit. Palantir is expanding. Melania Trump.
Oh,
Let's just get that
great.
out real fast. Melania Trump. Let me read this to you about Palantir. Now, again, Palantir is a derivative of the CIA. It is run by a guy by the name of Peter Thiel. Jason Bassler, if you can get the clip up. What do you have the clip number? For it's number 21. So this is Jason
21.
this is Jason Bassler on X. It says a company funded by the CIA used for predictive policing, mass data fusion, overseas targeting ops, and founded by Jeffrey Epstein's great friend is now responsible for keeping America's food safe. This is Palantir they're talking about. It says totally normal, nothing to see. He goes on to say 27 government agencies and counting. When a Palantir executive turned whistleblower tells us that the company intends on taking over the U.S. government, maybe we should believe him. All right. Palantir now has their little operation inside of these agencies: the DoD, the U.S. Army, the U.S. Air Force, the U.S. Marine Corps, U.S. Special Operations Command, the DHS, ICE, HSI, HHS, CDC, FDA, USDA, FBI, DOJ, IRS, CIA, CBP, FAA, NSA, SSA, NASA, FEMA, the Department of State, Department of Treasury, and on and on and on. This is where Palantir is now. Now, Palantir, as we've said multiple different times, this is the group that got Donald Trump elected in 2016, Peter Thiel's group, and also the ones that bankrolled J.D. Vance.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So people should pay attention to that, right? Because I do not want this to be a surveillance state. I do not want to have to fear my government at all times. I do not want to have a sense that if I speak out against my government or I disagree with my government or I cause political harm to my government, right? Because I'm speaking out against them. People are starting to unite around our message, and that becomes a threat to our government. I don't want the government should be of me. We're not looking for a violent overthrow of the government. We're saying we don't agree with what you're doing anymore. You're not serving our better interest. Life is not better than it was 20 years ago. Life is not better than it was 40 years ago. Life is not better than it was 70 years ago. Life is not better. There's more anxiety. Now, it is a little better for certain groups that were being discriminated against, but that was really a government entity to begin with. That wasn't the people. That was born out of government policy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Segregation. These are all government policies. But the people have more anxiety, more depression, more drug use, more homosexual behavior than ever in the history of our country. And we should pay attention to that, because if society is going this way and your 401k is going this way, which would you prefer? Do you want society to go into the ditch because your 401k is up? Is everything in this country going to be about money? I want to have a stable economy. I want to make as much money as I can. Isaiah, I think you would agree with me. I hope everybody that's listening today is very prosperous. They don't have to worry about food or clothing or enjoying their life. But it feels to me like we're making every decision based on money. These AI data centers, as Paul Renner, who's running for the governor in Florida, who was on the show yesterday, he said it's all about money. That's all it is. And you're going to have the Republicans coming out in full force trying to explain to you why you need AI data centers, but they can't explain what the benefit is. None of them have explained the benefit. Melania Trump on Palantir. Check this out. Here's Melania Trump. She's coming out to sell the message. Go.
I'm proud that America's best technology companies, including Meta, Palantir, OpenAI, Adobe, Zoom Communications, X, and Microsoft, had the chance to advance our mission to empower children with technology and education.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. It's big time. Donald Trump was at the Army-Navy football game. So the Army-Navy football game is a big deal to football fans. It's a big deal to the military. And there, at the time that this happened, everybody in social media was talking about Donald Trump and J.D. Vance's ties to Palantir. All right, this is what was going on at the time. Donald Trump comes to the Army-Navy game, and in the big background, as they show a picture of Donald Trump, in the background on the big screen at the stadium was an ad for Palantir. It's almost like, and that was a big conversation. At the time that happened, there was a big conversation as to, is Donald Trump, because Palantir is a spy device. You can go back to Fox News where Carl Cameron, I think it was, remember campaign Carl Cameron? If anybody remembers Fox News back from the day, he said that there were reports that Israel was spying on Donald Trump. It was a big report. They spent time on it. I should find that. See if you can find that report. Say Fox News Fox News report says Israel is spying on Donald Trump. Well, now that you look at it and you go, Donald Trump's not going to take any money from anybody. Then he takes $250 million from Miriam Adelson. We'll play that clip here in just a minute. He's now surrounded by Zionists. So, like I said, he's at the exact opposite place that he was once before. And now you're going to have the questions: is Donald Trump and his administration, have they been infiltrated? Is he being blackmailed? Is this just the way he's come to a different conclusion than he did in 2016? What is going on? This is what I would like to, I just need an answer from any of, and we'll look, if there's any Donald Trump supporters that say, Rob, you're just crazy, you don't understand the man's genius, just please explain that to me, because I don't want to be off base with it. But it seems to me like he's at the exact opposite place that he was in 2016 on almost every issue. Almost every issue, he's in the exact opposite place. Not only that, he's now aligned with the people that he was against in 2016. Very odd. Did you find that clip?
I've not found it yet. I did find a, let's see here. This is an Instagram clip. I just found something else interesting, is that in 2016, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu dispatched the Mossad chief to secretly meet with President Trump.
No, this was a Fox News report.
Yeah.
This was a Fox News report that said Donald Trump was being, they put secret spy devices inside of the White House, and they were implying that it was Mossad Israel that was spying on Donald Trump. I'll find it. I'll be able to find that baby. And then the other thing I want to talk about today.
I've got a clip here for it. Yeah, I'll download it and then I'll put it in. It looks like it's a guy commenting, but the clip is in his video. So
is it Fox News?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I want to talk about. Let's get this out of the way very quickly, and then maybe we can come back to it. Are you watching these researchers that say they found Noah's Ark?
Oh yeah.
What is your take on that?
Yeah, I think that is it.
Guy's name is Stephen Jones, and he was on Fox News. He's on social media right now saying that they have the outline of this enormous ark that is exactly the same size that it is in the Bible. And they're trying to, they want to dig up, they want to use robots and everything else to try to get down into the earth to see if this is a Noah's Ark.
Yeah.
What do you think? And I guess it's in Turkey is where they said it was at.
Yeah, I'm wondering, is it at the Gölbekli Tepe? That's what I'm trying to figure out. I didn't look into that, but do you know what Gölbekli Tepe is?
No. What are you referring to?
That's a place in Turkey where they think.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just an old site, an archaeological site that was I think it's in the old. Here we go.
They say it's a mile from Iran.
BC. Yeah. So it's just one of the sites where they say it could be potentially, but I just thought that was crazy. The outline. You look, you can see
the outline from above.
From above, the dimensions match. They say that the internal, like ground penetrating radar that they do.
Yep.
There's tunnels that are perfectly carved out that look like they would be part of a ship. So very interesting.
My adopted sister, Pamela, she's on here. She says it's at the top of a mountain.
Yeah, well, that's what the Bible says. I don't know if you know that. So when Noah's Ark,
I think she's talking about this one, though, right? The one they're founding is at the top of a mountain. Okay, go ahead.
Well, that's another reason why they think it is, because in the I don't want to say the story, the narrative of Noah's Ark is that the waters rescend, and then let's see here if I can find it in Genesis 6 or 7, I guess, or 8. Wow, subsides.
Like and share. Don't forget, I watch everybody that likes and shares. By the way, I know who you are. I'm watching you.
27th day of the month there they dried out. Then God said,
and
go out the ark
as well.
I can't find. I got too many notes here in my Bible that I
read. We're going to come back to that story. I just wanted to.
But essentially, it comes. They say that the ark comes and rests on a mountain in the Bible.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Pamela knows the Bible inside and out as well. So we have a lot of Bible. We have a lot of Bible people that listen to the show. I noticed when I was on the radio, and we'd have Pastor Brad Riley in, or we'd have somebody from the church in. It was amazing. The app would just light up with people that were that know Bible scripture. They and it was always got into a debate over it. Isaiah, that's one thing that I started to notice about Christianity is all the different opinions on what the Bible actually says. Crazy.
Here it is. It's chapter 8, verses 4. It says, "And in the 7th month, on the 17th day of the month, the ark came to rest on the mountains of Ararat. and the waters continued to abate until the 10th month. So they rested
Say
on the
it
mountain.
one more time.
Yep. Chapter 8, verses 4 of the book of Genesis says, and in the 7th month, on the 17th day of the month, the ark came to rest on the mountains of Ararat. So that's one of the reasons why they think this could be.
Do we know where that is at? Mountains of Ararat?
Yeah, that's in that area. That's what they don't necessarily know, but they think that it's in that area.
Yeah, because they say it's a mile from Iran.
Yeah,
that's what they're saying. Okay, so we'll talk about that story as well. But I got the story that we left off yesterday. Yesterday was long, 4 hours, a little bit of a marathon. It's interesting as we watch how the show is developing. You know, I want to keep a Missouri and Florida, for that matter. I want to keep those political conversations in everybody's mind. So what's going on in Missouri, what is going on in Florida. I like being able to talk to both political parties, both from the Republican Party. I don't really have much contact with the Democrat Party in Florida, but I do. But I want the Republicans in Florida to continue to talk to me. I think we're going to talk to all of the governor candidates that are running for office in Florida. We're going to get them on. And then in Missouri, you know, there's only a handful of people that I think feel comfortable talking to me, but they do. You know, they do. And I want to have those conversations, both Democrat and Republican, so that the people that are inside this system, we can find out what is actually happening just by what they tell us, what they don't want to talk about, and the like. So I want to keep that at the forefront. And from that point forward, I really want to talk about all the things that are going on in the federal government as well. I am very interested in what is happening in our country. I feel like something either fantastically bad is going to happen relatively soon, or something fantastically good is going to happen very soon.
Which one is it?
Don't you? Isn't that great? I like that. I was in the shower and I was, I can't stop thinking about the show. I'm in that compulsive stage of what's going on with the show. And I said 5D chess. And then the BS came to my mind. And I thought, oh, 5D chess or 5D BS, which one is going on? Because I could make the argument to you that it is 5D chess. I could make that argument to you. If I wanted to just go out and pull all of the things that I thought Donald Trump did well, I could make an argument that he's playing 5D chess. He's one step ahead of everybody. I could make that argument. The argument for me now that is stronger is that it's 5D BS. It does feel like it's 5D BS. Like there's a theatrics going on in Washington, D.C. I don't trust Pete Hegseth. Somebody said to me, a friend of mine who's probably listening, she's heading down to Jefferson City right now. She said, "You don't trust Pete Hegseth?" And I said, "No, I don't trust Pete Hegseth. Why would I trust Pete Hegseth, a Fox News guy?" He was in the military, but millions of people have been in the military. I don't think Pete Hegseth has any insight that I'm interested in at all. And another guy that went to Harvard, right? Yeah. And then when Harvard wasn't doing what he liked, I think he brought his diploma on Fox News in the morning and he ripped it up or something like that. But he's another Harvard guy.
Yeah.
Where does it? I want my big club and it's gone.
Yeah, it's big club and you ain't in.
And you ain't in it. You and I are not in the big club. But that's Pete Hegseth. And I just feel like there's theatrics going on everywhere in our government. It feels like BS to me. It feels like it's all BS. And if you go back, what was the guy's name? Yuri Bezmenov. You know who Yuri Bezmenov is? Do you know that name, Isaiah?
Yeah. Very, very familiar. Sounds.
Okay. Yuri Bezmenov used to, in the 1980s, he would do public speaking and he would do local television stations, and he would explain how the Soviets and how Marxist ideology is put into your society so that eventually, after a couple generations, your society now thinks like the enemy.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what I always say postmodernism. That's what postmodernism is Marxism, and I always get the wrong Leninism or Lenicism, whatever it is, the other guy. That is the basis for what postmodern thought and ideology is, which is what our modern society is in. They say this is the era that we're in, is this postmodern society. And
it feels like it's post something.
Yeah, and it's all do what you want, do what feels good. Your truth is your truth, Rob. That means no one's wrong.
I'm just telling you my truth. Remember that?
Yeah.
Whenever you were saying that, I thought,
this is my truth.
Well, your truth is stupid. That's what I said. There's the truth and there's not the truth. And all the liberals are, I'm just telling people my truth.
Yeah.
Very annoying. And my liberal friends, I love you.
I got the video ready to go if you want to see it. Just warning, I don't know if there's any cussing in here because we've never watched this video. The video of the Fox News.
Okay. Clip. Yeah. Yep. Okay. So let me set it up.
It's a guy reacting, so I don't know what the guy says. So I just wanted to just in case,
Let me set it up, because what we're going to get into here for a little bit, and we'll take a break. Let's play this clip and then we'll take a break. We'll do a comedy break. But several friends of mine, just if you're listening in, several friends of mine said, "Rob, I get caught up in what you're talking about. I don't know where you're going. You kind of bounce and you keep me interested. So I want to pay attention to what you're talking to, but you got to give me a break. As you say, Rob, I got to go to the bathroom. And I'm like I said, I'm a camel. I don't need the breaks. So I just go. And several people have told me, Rob, just give us a little break, put something on so that we can go to the bathroom, go get a cigarette break, whatever we got to do. Just give us just a little bit of time and break up the show just a little bit. And I said, okay, I gotcha. So what I like to do is fill it with comedy. So why don't we play this clip? And then if you don't mind, let's do the Sebastian Maniscalco.
Yeah.
His clip. It's about 6 minutes long. Give everybody just a little bit of break. And when we come back, I want to ask the question, and I want the serious question. This is not something I'm trying to do for clicks or any nonsense. It's just something I've been thinking about. Did Donald Trump convert to Judaism? Did that happen? There's a lot of evidence that would lead you to believe that's exactly what's going down. Is Donald Trump converted to Judaism? And now all of a sudden you see all of these people that are in the Zionist movement surrounding him.
It's not secret evidence either. It's out there in the public.
Right out there in the open where you can look at it. And I'll give you, I think we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 clips that will kind of detail why I believe this may have happened. And we played that clip from Rick Wiles yesterday. We should probably bring that back up in the break. Do you have that from yesterday? The one that it'll just be on the clips that I gave you.
I got all the clips from yesterday. Yeah, I always have all the clips.
Why don't we start with that one when we come back? So we'll do this clip now about Donald Trump being spied on. We'll do Sebastian Maniscalco. We'll do a little bit of break, and then when we come back,
you don't want to come back and commentate on this clip. You just want me to go straight into the.
Just let people see this clip. We'll come back. I may decide to comment on. I don't even know what's in this clip, so we'll have to see if that's exactly what he's talking about. But when we come back, I want to ask the question. I really want everybody, if you're somebody who wants to participate, what is your opinion? Is it crazy? Are you mad at me for even discussing it? Have you thought about it yourself? After you watch all of the videos, I want your reaction after. So before and after to see what your opinion is, because it appears to me that Donald Trump is, if he has not converted, I could sure make an argument that he has based on public statements. Okay. So here is what we're going to play. Here is this clip. This is, I hope this is it, where Fox News was reporting that Donald Trump was being spied upon by Israel. Go ahead, Isaiah.
Now on a new report accusing Israel of spying on President Trump. Politico's
Does it never end?
headline reads this: Israel
But hold on. If this is true, hopefully Trump would do something about it.
accused of planting mysterious spy devices near the White House. Now,
There are disturbing spy allegations against one of America's closest allies. Israel is.
In regards to America and Israel, every time I hear closest allies, I swear I throw up just a little bit in my mouth. And I'm sure this is going to go on to tell you why I throw up a little bit in my mouth.
Is denying a Politico report accusing its government of planting surveillance devices near the White House and other sensitive locations around Washington.
Politico also claims President Trump was aware but took no action to punish the Israeli government.
That's good.
I swear. Feels like I'm taking crazy pills.
Well, it's kind of like me
I love
now.
that guy's reaction.
Well, I remember that, right? So there's two big Fox News reports that people will remember when you bring it to their attention if they're Fox News viewers, but a lot of people don't even know that it existed. Right after 9/11, Carl Cameron did a report saying that there were dancing Israelis that were brought into custody and that they were being questioned.
Mm-hmm.
And the implication was that Israel had operatives around the World Trade Center on 9/11/2001, and that they were dancing and cheering when planes went into the building, suggesting that they had prior knowledge. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That story started to evaporate and kind of went away. And then you have this, where you have Fox News also saying that Israel and people surrounding Israel, whether it be the intelligence agencies, diplomats, what have you, but they were putting spy devices inside the White House to spy on Donald Trump. That is why, I continue to say, how do people really rationalize what is going on within our government? If Donald Trump got you all excited in 2016 because he said he was going to take on the swamp, and then in 2020 said he was going to fix the elections, then he said he was going to release all the Epstein information, then he said it was a hoax. He said he wanted to stay out of wars, and then he starts a war with this is going to be one of the most difficult, let's put it that way, difficult wars to execute ever with the United States, with Iran. It's an ancient society, and they're very disciplined people, and they do not like Western culture within that government, and there's millions of people that agree with them. So you just know that you're going to get into a long, protracted war if you decide you want to take out Iran and make it more Western, right? Mm-hmm. So all of these things that he said he was against, he's now fully in favor of. The people that he once was surrounding him are gone, and now the people that are surrounding him are all Zionists. And people should be asking more questions about what are the motives of Donald Trump. Is there something going on that we're not seeing or understanding? I think there's nothing wrong. Remember, as Trisha Hope said when she was on the show the other day, he works for us. He's got to be loyal to us as well. Everybody goes, the people that give me trouble say that I'm not loyal. Oh, you're just not being loyal. You're not seeing all the great things that Donald Trump is doing. I'm saying, well, he has to be loyal to me too. You know, when I went to vote for him in 2016,
about this?
Yeah.
I'm willing to risk giving up my rights and privileges.
Read that, Isaiah, what you're talking about, because this is the 702 FISA warrants that I have talked about on my show from day one. I don't think that the United States government should allow themselves or contractors to spy on everything that I do. And with these FISA 702 warrants, according to Snowden, if my TV is off in my bedroom and I am in bed with my wife, they can watch me. And then these people, these contractors, have the ability to go in and surveil you at will with these 702 FISA warrants. Donald Trump railed against the 702 FISA warrants, as you might remember, because they said contractors had went in, they were spying on him, they were spreading misinformation about him. It was all based on the 702 FISA warrants, which at the time he railed against. Now it's coming up for a vote, and he's selling it. He's at every single issue. He is now with the establishment that we were once fighting against. And I think we have every right to question what's going on. Would you agree, Isaiah?
Yep. I actually just posted on my X profile last night his other post from 2024. So you read this one. He says, I'm willing to risk the giving up of my rights and privileges as a citizen for our great military and country. That's what President Trump says now.
Our military patriots desperately need FISA 702. So now they desperately need the FISA 702 warrants, which means they can spy on American citizens.
You're not a patriot if you're against it. Remember that, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
And then in 2024, April 24, he said, kill FISA. It was illegally used against me and many others. They spied on my campaign.
In 2024
to 2026, he's completely flipped.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And he was president in 2016, right?
Yep.
So he could have got rid of FISA there, didn't. Then when Biden's the president, then he rails against it. And now that he's a president again, he's for it.
Yes.
That's the reality of the situation. And I guess we just excuse it. I would say this about the loyalty before we play a little comedy break. And by the way, this comedy, this Sebastian Maniscalco, you know his name? I
couldn't even type it out. I had to just put Sebastian.
Maniscalco. I think it's called Maniscalco. Sebastian Maniscalco. It's a great skit. So if you're into comedy, you'll like this. I think he's a pretty funny guy. But Donald Trump has to be loyal to us as well. Right, Isaiah?
Yeah.
I mean, if I go out and I campaign for the guy, he got a little bit of Robb's money. You know, when I went out and campaigned for him and I was fighting with my friends and I got fired from my job because of it, and I was arguing with family members that split our family up. Well, I need him to do what he told me he was going to do so I could see people's lives get better. So I could say, see, I told you so.
This hat was $40 from him. You know what I mean? And I had to remake it. And so, but I had to pay $40 for this hat. I'm not going to pay $40 for a hat. I only paid it because it was for him.
Does loyalty go both ways or no?
It has to.
Has to go both ways.
Yeah, that's what I've learned from business is if you're, if you have a boss and they expect loyalty from you, but they don't provide loyalty, then it's not much of a relationship.
Loyalty goes both ways. I'm an incredibly loyal person, but if you are not loyal to me, I'll still talk to you. I could even be friends with you, but you're not going to get anything that could hurt me. I'll never confide in you. If my career takes off, you're not coming with, that kind of thing. Right. Because I've always said, you and I have talked about it just a little bit. If the thing takes off, I've talked to my friends. I said, I want to bring everybody with me. I'm looking to, I anticipate that we're going to have a very popular, very well spread podcast here before too terribly long. And when that happens, if it should generate income, we're going to use it for the good. We're not looking to drive a Mercedes and have yachts. That's not even what we're in this for. My man Isaiah wants babysitter money. That's what we're talking about, right? Yep. But we're bringing in enough advertising money now that we're okay. We're okay to continue this thing forward. But if we want to make it big, it really comes down to we want to get enough $5, $10 donations so that we can market what we're doing, market ideas around People's Lobby Mo, market the idea that your government is getting over on you and you're going to demand a face-to-face conversation with your government. That's ultimately, it's a pressure campaign. It's all it is. It's not about the X's and O's of politics, which people like to play. This is about pressuring both sides of the aisle back into compliance with the Constitution, and we are going to drive them absolutely crazy with marketing and marketing techniques so long as we have the money to get the message out there in today's world. That's it. All right, going to take a break. This is Sebastian Maniscalco. This goes back to when I was a kid, and he talks about, remember when people used to knock on your door and you get excited that somebody was at your house versus when somebody knocks on your door today unannounced?
Yeah.
Check it out.
I was sitting in my house a couple weeks ago, just relaxing. My doorbell rang. This is weird. It's a different feeling when your doorbell rings today opposed to 20 years ago, right? 20 years ago, your doorbell rang. That was a happy moment in your house. It's called company. You'd be sitting there on a Thursday night watching TV. Your doorbell rang. The whole family shot off the couch. Oh my God! Put the lights on. Somebody's here. We got people. The whole family went to the door. The kids were in socks. They slid up to the door. Nobody looked to see who it was. All right, you just opened up the door. You were like, oh my God, look at that. Look at us here. And you'd ask them, what the hell are you doing here? And the person would be like, I was in the neighborhood. I thought I might stop by, see how the kids are doing. They're like, oh, come on in. We're gonna have some cake. Your mother had a little Entenmann's. Maybe some Sara Lee crumble cake. Just in case company came over. She made an announcement when she bought it. She's like, listen, nobody touch this cake. This is for company only. Those crap muffins, those are for you people. You better hope to God somebody comes over so we could cut the cake. She put her cake in the middle of the table, proud of it. All right, she put it right in the middle. Cut yourself a slice. Want a cup of coffee? We're gonna do want some Sanka? Yeah, that's old school. A lot of the young kids are looking at me like, what is that, an iPhone app? What the hell is Sanka? Your mother had a tin, brown and orange tin of Sanka, ready to go just in case the company. She put a big pot on the table. Go ahead. Nobody had a cell phone back then. If your house phone did ring, your father stood up and said, nobody get that phone. We got company. And you lost track of time. 2 hours went by. You were like, we got to get out of here. That's okay. Next time we're going to come by you. Be like, yeah, my door's always open. Now your doorbell rings? It's like, what the fuck? All right, your own mother's crawling across the kitchen floor. Get down, my army crawl. Army crawl, get in the closet. Go get the sword in the living room. Somebody get the sword underneath the couch in the living room. There's a sword. All right, you have to turn and ask your family, you invite anybody over? You invite anybody over? There's always that person upstairs that didn't hear the bell. They come walking down. What the hell is going on? Get the hell down. Somebody's outside. They're at the door. I think they saw movement. Oh, God, I got to open it. I got no cake. I got no Sanka. I got nothing. Got nothing for these people. You can't stop by anybody's house anymore. If you do, you have to call from the driveway. You're like, I'm here, can I approach? It's me and 3 other people. We're gonna walk up through this side. Is that your mother with a sword? Why did you have a sword?
Wow.
So you don't remember those days, do you?
I do.
Do you? Yeah,
I
when
do
was a
remember.
kid, if somebody
Yeah.
knocked on the door, you were excited. Like, who's coming over? I hope it's somebody
Yeah.
that I like. You know, you're hoping it's a
I
friend.
grew up in
knocking
the
on door.
country though, so it's
Yeah.
like few and far between when people would come and be like, "Oh my gosh!" We could see him coming down the driveway, and be
Yeah.
getting excited.
Well, it's interesting now because the house that we have, you can't see through the door. So, and
Ah.
we're in a neighborhood where people are building still, right?
Yeah.
So we don't answer the door.
Yeah. Smart.
People knock on our door. We don't answer the door.
Yeah.
To his point, back in those days, you were excited when somebody knocked on the door, and nowadays, when somebody knocks on your door, like somebody come, did you know somebody that was coming over, right? Because now you think it's just somebody soliciting because anybody that would come over would call you before they get there. Times have changed. I'll put it to you that way. Okay, now we want to get into, is Donald Trump a Christian? All right, and the only reason I ask is because a lot of people, Christians are following Donald Trump to a degree that I'm not comfortable with anymore. And I recognized that when I was working on the radio station, both of them, both at News Talk and Real Talk, and following him to a point where I think it's not comfortable for me. I think that you should be very skeptical of power always. I think that's why we have a First Amendment. I think that's why we have a Second Amendment. I think that's why we have a Fourth Amendment. I think that's why we have a 10th Amendment. I think power, when it goes unchecked, grows like a cancer. And people that get into power generally want power, right? When I was in the corporate world, I used to say, I almost could never get to power because I always wanted to do a good job for the person that I was working for, right? So if I was a vice president or the executive vice president or the senior vice president, I was always working for somebody that had a lot of respect for, and I didn't want their gig. When I got into the position of president, both times it was because the person before me retired or quit, and then I was elevated into that position. Power, people that really want power, these are not always good people. They say rape is not a sexual activity. It is an activity that is domination. It is power over somebody. Very nasty people who smile to your face and you think that they're snakes. You see it in the corporate world. You've seen it in the corporate world, haven't you, Isaiah?
Oh my gosh. I can read it in 5 seconds.
I couldn't at the beginning. I thought everybody loved me, and I'm like, oh, these people are snakes. Holy cow. Yeah. Right? Took a little while to figure out what was going on. But that is the nature of power. People that I don't think that normal everyday people recognize what addiction to power actually looks like when you're in the midst of it. You don't really see, power is very sneaky. And,
it is.
And right. And politicians
are doing what you just asked. I mean, I got to that way where I'm over 50 people and I'm 28 years old. You know what I mean? And I'm like, you do this, and everyone's doing what I'm asking them to do. You kind of you feel a certain way about yourself.
Right. There becomes a jealousy there.
Yeah.
Right. You got to be very careful with power. That's one thing, just a bit of advice that I got when I became
lay it on me.
The first time I became vice president of a company. I think I was in my mid 30s. Okay. And made some phone calls, and I called, and I was very excited that I'd made it into a position that I was, that to me was a really big deal, and I'm bragging about it. And I think it was either my father or my adopted father. I have two. I always say my father when I go back to this statement because it's foggy now. I don't really remember who it was. It could have been my father or my business father, a guy named Dave McGinnis. And the quote was, "You're no smarter today than you were yesterday. Don't forget that."
Yep.
You're no smarter today than you were yesterday. And I thought, that's kind of a good point. The message was, don't get too big for your britches. Don't think that you're going to start directing people and you have to be the smartest guy in the room. Yeah. One of the best advice I ever got when I got into positions of management was, you're not supposed to be the smartest guy in the room.
Yep.
You're supposed to recognize who's got the best opinion on every subject in the room. That is your gig. Your gig is to recognize talent. Your idea, your role, if you're going to be in management, is to all the people around you that have value. You got to make sure that they live up to their value, and that when they say something, you have to recognize it as to whether it's going to work or not, and always deflect all of the praise onto people that are working around you, because if you don't, they're not going to like you very much. You have to praise them. You have to let everybody know that it was their idea. You can't steal people's ideas, make them your own. all of these different things. Having said that,
Yeah.
that's generally not how power works. Would you agree, Isaiah? Most people, when they get into power, they think they're a little bit taller. They think they're a little bit better looking. But
Oh,
the
yeah.
ones who crave the power, now that is just human nature. You get into a position of power, people start, they love you just a little bit more. You just feel like you're a little bit more
I
important.
experienced that when I got elected.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. You're going through it now.
Oh, man, everyone wants to be my friend now. And and I'm like, this is so weird.
Yeah, yeah. And you have to be very careful. You have to pray on it. And you have to make sure that you don't lose your, you want to make sure that you stay grounded, right?
Yeah.
You always want to make sure you stay grounded. But
My
generally
favorite
speaking,
statement is be a learn it all, not a know it all.
I love that, by the way.
Yeah.
You learn it all, not a know it all. I love that. But power, the people that want to get to power, like there are people that crave it. They're addicted to it. Like some people could be addicted to alcohol, marijuana, sex, pornography. They could be addicted to food, sugary food. You can be addicted to all kinds of things. But there is something that is very dangerous, and that is the addiction to power. And usually the addiction to power, whether it's an evil spirit or you believe that this person, what they call them, sociopaths and psychopaths, they're the reason the police will call them predators is because they are always kind of slithering around you, trying to be your buddy, and they're nice, and you don't recognize that they have ulterior motive until they're in a position of power.
Yeah.
And there are people that get into positions of power that are just maniacal, they're evil. And if you are somebody that is a predator, somebody that is amoral, you sometimes use everybody and everything around you to get yourself into a position of power, because once you become the position in power, it is on like Donkey Kong. You understand what I'm saying?
Do you know what Satan asks Adam and Eve in the garden? So
No.
This is the original sin, as they say, right? Because, Adam and Eve get a lot of flack for, man, they messed it up for everyone. You know what I mean? They sinned and it messed it up. But it says in chapter 3 of Genesis, now the serpent was more crafty than any other beast of the field that the Lord God had made. He said to the woman, did God actually say you shall not eat of any tree in the garden? And the woman said to the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of the trees in the garden, but God said, you shall not eat of the fruit of the tree that is in the midst of the garden, neither shall you touch it, lest you die. But the serpent said to the woman, you will not surely die, for God knows that when you eat of it, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like God, knowing good and evil. And I don't want to keep reading. I know it goes on, but I think that exchange is so interesting, because the serpent is not coming out right to say, hey, go eat this fruit so that your eyes are gonna be open and you're gonna understand the difference between sin and good. You're gonna have all these things. No, he asks questions and he's starting to kind of poke and prod. And did he actually say, are you really going to die? And so it's very, very crafty. If you really study the series of questioning there, it's interesting, because we all think, oh, it couldn't have been me. It couldn't have been me. But,
I think it can happen to anybody.
It could have been anyone. That's really what comes down to.
I agree wholeheartedly. I've seen it happen to people in my life. I've got into, I was in the shoe business. A lot of my buddies, we grew up together. We were very lucky. We were for a company called Clark's Shoe Company. And I think when we started, it was like a $20 million business or something. And it got up to almost $1 billion at one point. So you're watching this incredible growth, a lot of young guys, a lot of athletes. The person who put it together, his name was Bob Infantino. And I absolutely adore the guy. He was just a brilliant speaker, hilariously funny. And it just felt like you were going into a situation where everybody was doing well. Business was growing. Everybody was being recognized and everybody liked each other. And we would, we'd have these elaborate sales meetings where we would go to, Puerto Rico, or we'd go to Louisiana, or we'd go to Camelback in Arizona. We'd have these elaborate sales meetings where people would bond together. And that particular person who was in charge did not have a power complex. He had a, let's be a family. That's what you really want your leaders to be, is let's have a family. The reason I bring all this up is power is something we have to pay attention to. When people get into positions of power, they may have said all the right things to you. You may think they are the most wonderful people in the world because they maybe did a favor for you at some point that only power could give you. And you begin to tie yourselves to them emotionally and spiritually. And I say, be very careful of that. When people get into political power, especially, I could tell stories, Isaiah, and I probably am going to tell these stories next week. 3 stories in the last 3 days. And I have people ringing my phone off the hook to tell me stories about corruption around this country. Two of them in Missouri, one from New York and Florida, just within the last couple of days. And these conversations were hours long, right? I was on the phone. Last 2 days, I was on the phone from the time I got off the show. I took a little time to eat, and then I was on the phone till 11 o'clock at night, both nights, listening to these stories. The corruption, when power goes unchecked right here in the state of Missouri and around this country, would just blow your mind. The stories are so incredible that they're almost hard to believe that these things are happening, but they do, because power, when it goes unchecked, will force you into compliance, whether you like it or not. They're going to use their power against you, and it's destroyed some lives. I've got to listen to 3 people in a row that told me their lives were completely destroyed by government entities. These people the business was getting in their way. They were whistleblowers, and once the whistleblowers came out, all of a sudden the government came after them. And I got to verify these stories, but they seem very credible to me. They were long stories sent to me by people in my circles, so I have to believe that at least the origin of the story is believable, but crazy when it comes to power. That leads me to Trump and Christianity.
We got some breaking news that just dropped. If you want to, it does relate to Trump as well. People are texting me about it because it says just in, U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro is ending the investigation into the Fed and Jerome Powell over the expensive renovations, meaning Tom Tillis would likely back Trump's Fed nominee Kevin Warsh, Zionist, per Fox. And there is a video here if you want me to play it from Fox News from her announcing it, but we don't have
to. Go ahead. Yeah. Go ahead.
Let's go ahead and...
Everything is the opposite.
Is a grand jury subpoena. Today, however, in Washington, an activist judge has taken that tool away from us by inserting himself and preventing the grand jury from even obtaining, let alone hearing evidence. He has neutered the grand jury's ability to investigate crime. As a result, Jerome Powell today is now bathed in immunity, preventing my office from investigating the Federal Reserve. This is wrong, and it is without legal authority. In June of 2025, Jerome Powell testified before the Senate Banking Committee.
This is not
that's good.
Yeah, I did not expect this to be her statement, which is so interesting. Wow.
These are the things that bother me, because I'm thinking, well, Donald Trump could pardon you right away. If they don't have the legal authority to do it and you're working for the president of the United States, carry on with your business.
Yep.
Carry on.
Wow.
Right? Expose it at the very least, even if you can't get to these ridiculous courts and get the information out to the courts publicly. Do it. You know, you have the bully pulpit. That's the whole point of the bully pulpit, is you get the American people's attention whenever you want it. All you got to do is say, I'm giving a speech. It's very important. And everybody in America will either hear about it or tune in as you give that speech. Got to use the bully pulpit, Mr. Trump. That is, there's no more excuses for not telling people what's going on. All right. Is Donald Trump a Christian? That's where we're starting, because the whole power conversation was way too many people in my circles, people that I love, people that talk to me every day, people that get mad at me. They want to defend Trump's every move. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to give you that he's playing 5D chess. Do you care about the Constitution, or is that something that's irrelevant as well? Right? Can he at least be playing 5D chess within the Constitution, or do we just throw that away because Donald Trump he's wiser than the Constitution? Is that what you believe? I mean, these are the things that, can he be playing 5D chess and also going against his oath to uphold the Constitution? Fair? I think that's fair.
Yep.
All right. So the question is Donald Trump a Christian, or has he converted to Judaism? Okay. And I want to give you the hints. Let's start with what we'll kind of tie two stories together. So David Wilcock is the most recent person that the media is saying either committed suicide or was killed. One of these 12 scientists that are working on very technical things that would supply technology to our military, our intelligence agencies, and the like. Okay. So 12 have died within the last 3 or 4 years. Now this story is beginning to bubble up on Fox News. It's all over social media. We have everybody weighing in on their run-ins with aliens and UFOs and this whole thing. I don't buy any of it, but I could be wrong, right? I just don't buy into it. I think something's going on here. This field, when Fox News sells it, I immediately go, okay, well, here's a distraction coming for some reason. I can't figure out what it is, but this is going to get, I mean, when you start talking about aliens, people are going to tune in, right? Right?
Oh yeah.
Government, they got Area 51. We have aliens. Everybody's going to tune into that. Okay. But let's listen to what David Wilcock had to say. The first one is, and I'm going to tie, and we'll come back to David Wilcock. The reason I want to play this, now follow along, everybody. I ask you to pay attention, like and share, like and share, like and share, because I want to get this story out there and I want to begin a conversation because I think it matters. I think it matters in your governing philosophy. It matters on whether you're going to be truthful or not, whether you're going to use deception to get to the finish line. Is it Machiavellian or is it real? I prefer real information. I think that our politicians are demanded by the Constitution to shoot somewhat straight with us. I don't think we should accept lies and deception as a form of military strategy in our own country. I just don't think that's the way it should work out. I think it's an incredibly dangerous situation that we're getting ourselves into. David Wilcock said that the evil in the world, the cabal, if you will, they have to show you what they're doing. They have to tell you what they're doing. This is part of their principles and their rules. They're going to tell you everything that they're doing, and you're going to accept it. And that is what gives them the spiritual reality to do what they want to do. So long as you accept it, so long as they have told you what is going on, now it's okay for them to do whatever they want, so long as you accept it, right? This is what they say. I want him to explain it. It is clip number 2, if you don't mind, Isaiah. He says they must show you what they're doing in order to be compliant with their rules and their guidelines on the evil side of things, if you will. Clip number 2.
That I learned from whistleblowers from the cabal itself is that they have to work within something they call the rules. And this is very, very important. So I really want to make sure that this gets into the film. The rules are a body of spiritual principles that they must follow in order to be allowed to exist. Now, what do I mean by allowed to exist? I mean that they are aware that there are benevolent forces that will prevent them from achieving their goals unless we give them permission. So why did they put this plan for 3 world wars on display in a book that's hanging there open behind glass in the British Museum Library of London? Because the rules state that they have to tell us what they're doing. Therefore, if we allow it to happen, we have consented to tyranny, we have consented to enslavement.
Okay. Are you aware of this ideology, Isaiah? I've heard this multiple times.
Yeah.
It was nice to hear. Can we? I just want to slow everything down because I want this to stick with people. This is a part of the. I do this every now and again where I really want to impress upon people my understanding of what's going on here. Okay. I want to play this one more time, and I want you to listen to what he says. This is all over social media. Very powerful people have been talking about this for a long time on social media. The evil cabal that many people think are in charge of the world. Okay, with all the child trafficking, with the Jeffrey Epstein case, with what was going on down in Jeffrey's ranch down where they were supposedly he was impregnating women and trying to get DNA from multiple different people. You have all kinds of stories. Whether they're true or not is not the point. What we're trying to figure out is, could this possibly be true? And then I'm going to show you why I think Donald Trump is displaying to us that he's not a Christian at all. And although he's reading the Bible and he's remember the Isaiah where he walked out in Washington, D.C. when they had the riots in Washington, D.C. and he walked up in front of the church and he held up the Bible. He is appealing to Christians, making you believe that he is a man of God, that he is ordained by God, that he's trying to do righteous things. And if you believe that, then all of the things that he does that don't make any sense, you're just your subconscious mind. That's why I had that guy talking about it. Your subconscious mind goes, but he's the good guy. He's fighting the bad guys. He's trying to do good things. It's the system that is blocking him. It's the system that is blocking him. And I say to those people, it's no different than World Wrestling Federation, right? When the two people are fighting and they throw the referee out into the front row, and then the bad guy or the good guy holds down for 3 seconds and destroys his opponent, but the referee didn't see it. That's all fake. That's just a part of the show. It's a part of the system. Just like what Janine.
Wait, wrestling's fake?
Perfect timing with Janine Pirro right there, right? Because Letitia James, somebody else, there was two other people, John Brennan. These are the people we were going after for Russiagate. That's all over now. Those people are free and dandy. Everything that we were hoping to get is going away. And the way both parties use it is the system is what blocks it. You just have to watch it long enough. It's over. It's like a hamster wheel. We see it over and over and over and over again. And we continue to want to work within that system. Okay. I tell my MMTL people all the time, they think they're going to get a political solution to what's going on. They want to talk to President Trump. They want to talk to Ed Martin. They want to talk to whoever. And, privately, I tell them, you're either going to pressure them into compliance. They're not going to do it on their own. These are the people that are in cruise control with the system the way it is. How much money do you think Donald Trump has made off the stock market? Do you think he wants to play games with that, him and his family? I mean, maybe, I hope that you're right, but a close observation of this government would tell you that you better get your word out in a very public fashion and spread that to where these people can't hide anymore. Right? You have to put an enormous amount of sunlight on it before the pressure comes from the people so that they have to enforce your will. That's it. That's the only, in my opinion, that's the only way it's going to work. And I say the same thing to my friends at People's Lobby Mo. It's a pressure campaign. If you want to run for offices and do all these kind of things, great. I'm all down with it. But if you're trying to change Missouri without putting pressure on that system, it's just not going to happen. There's too much money and too much influence. Your pressure is going to have to outweigh the current pressure system that runs Missouri government. That's it. The pressure from the people has to outweigh the lobby groups and the leadership, or it's going to be business as usual. And they're going to have us fighting with each other and screaming and yelling at each other forever. That's the goal. Okay. So let's play that one more time. Again, this is David Wilcock. Before we get into Donald Trump and the reasons I think he may have converted to Judaism, and I mean that sincerely, it's not for clicks. It's not for anything. It's something I've been talking about for quite some time, right? Something I've been thinking about for quite some time. It just, what he's doing doesn't make sense from a Christian point of view at all. You don't bomb Christians in Gaza and then act like it didn't happen. You don't bomb Christians in Syria and then act like it didn't happen. You don't bomb Christians in Lebanon and act like it didn't happen, like it's just no big deal. That just doesn't make any sense to me, right, Isaiah?
Yeah,
you can't start bombing Christians on behalf of Israel.
The Christians in Nigeria, though,
did he? I don't know if that happened or not.
I don't even know if that really happened, but that was the whole Nicki Minaj situation with him, is that she was appealing to him to save these Christians in Nigeria.
That's the story.
And,
that's the story.
But we'll go there to save them, but we'll bomb these Christians.
Correct. Right. We'll go to Nigeria where nobody will know anything about it because they have no media over there. And then we'll tell them we're for the Christians, but the ones we can see, the ones we're spending our money on, we're bombing Christians indiscriminately over and over. Somebody said squirrel. I got you, Don. I'm sorry.
I know.
All right. Play David Wilcock. Sorry, Donna. You're right.
I learned from whistleblowers from the cabal itself is that they have to work within something they call the rules. And this is very, very important. So I really want to make sure that this gets into the film. The rules are a body of spiritual principles that they must follow in order to be allowed to exist. Now, what do I mean by allowed to exist? I mean that they are aware that there are benevolent forces that will prevent them from achieving their goals unless we give them permission. So why did they put this plan for 3 world wars on display in a book that's hanging there open behind glass in the British Museum Library of London? Because the rules state that they have to tell us what they're doing. Therefore, if we allow it to happen, we have consented to tyranny, we have consented to enslavement.
Okay. So they have to show you what they're doing, and you have to consent. Okay. So now let's just watch with Donald Trump. Okay. I think most people would say he's either kind of a Christian, he's somebody who feels like he's a Christian, but he doesn't read the Bible. He doesn't do any Christian things whatsoever, but he feels like he's a Christian because he's trying to do the right thing. I think that was my version of Christianity at one time. Okay. But you got to remember, let's just start from here. His daughter did convert to Judaism. So his prized daughter that he loves so much has converted to Judaism, married Jared Kushner, whose father was a criminal, right? I mean, a major scumbag, her father was. Jared Kushner, Ivanka Trump converts to Judaism. And let's just start with Tucker Carlson, because this made big news just recently when Tucker Carlson reminded everybody that when Donald Trump took the oath of office, he did not put his hand on the Bible. And again, I ask, does that seem odd to you? I was talking about it yesterday, Isaiah. If I get into a position of power and I'm going to take an oath, I have to have the Bible. I wouldn't even consider doing it without the Bible because I feel like I'm a Christian person who's trying to do the right thing. I want to put my hand on the Bible because I want God to know that I'm trying to serve him.
Yeah.
I want him to know that, right? Within the bounds of the Constitution, I want to serve my Lord and Savior. Yeah. Donald Trump didn't look for it. Tucker Carlson said he was standing right there when it happened. You can see the video of it. What you have is his wife, Melania, holding what appears to be Bibles, and she's got like 3 of them there, which was kind of interesting. I couldn't figure out what was. She's got multiple different texts there. I don't know what's happening, but she's standing there.
Maybe the Talmud?
Maybe, but standing there with them in her hand as he takes the oath of office. Let's play that very quickly. This is Tucker Carlson talking about Donald Trump not having his hand on the Bible when he was sworn in to protect our constitutional rights. Go.
Day, the president did not take his oath of office with his hand on the Bible. His wife stood next to him holding it. I was about 15 feet away and saw it, but he did not put his hand on the Bible. And that should have been maybe a clue that we need to pause and think about, what is this? Why wouldn't you put your hand on the Bible? If you don't believe in the Bible, there's no cost to you to putting your hand on it, just kind of following the protocol, going along with the tradition. All presidents do it. Why aren't you doing it? And you're not doing it intentionally. You're choosing not to put your hand on the Bible when you take that oath. That suggests not that you don't believe it's real, because if you didn't believe it was real, why would you care? That suggests you know it is real and you're rejecting it. You know what you're doing and you're doing it anyway. But nobody asked questions about that either. It seemed kind of inappropriate, given the celebration then in progress, to ask, why wouldn't you put your hand on the Bible when you take the oath of office to lead our nation? But pretty much nobody did. I didn't. I'll admit that. I saw it and didn't say one word. Bothered me ever since.
I did not notice it at the time. Did you notice it, Isaiah, at the time?
No.
I didn't notice it until Tucker Carlson talked about it. I did not notice that.
Yeah.
Odd, too, that I didn't notice that, but I didn't. Okay. So he doesn't put his hand on the Bible when he's swearing in to be the 47th president of the United States. So that's one, maybe just take that piece of information, stick it in the back of your head and think about it. Okay. Let's go to let's go to clip number 13, because I'm going to tie it into Zionism. There's multiple different things that we're going to talk about today that we're going to tie together. This is the guy that is always in the White House with him, named Howard Lutnick. Okay. Howard Lutnick is the same guy, and we're going to play the clip here in just a minute, who went out and emphatically said that he'd only met Jeffrey Epstein once, and he said he's gross, if you remember, and that he never wanted to have anything to do with him again. But at the same time, he shared a home that literally touched Jeffrey Epstein's home in Manhattan. Now he's the Commerce Secretary. He feels inauthentic to me. He's got a little Erica Kirk vibe. I don't trust anything that he says. But this is the way he was answering questions. Now, this is the Commerce Secretary, Howard Lutnick, a Zionist. The two people that are negotiating on behalf of the United States with Iran, according to Donald Trump, is Steve Witkoff, whose son just got busted with cocaine down in Miami a couple years back, and now that video is all over the place, and Jared Kushner, who everybody thought was going to kind of walk away from the administration in 2024 because people didn't like what he had going on in the 2016 through 2020 administration. Okay. All Zionists, everybody around him are Zionists. They're all Jewish. Everybody determining his decision-making are all Jewish Zionists. And this is not against the Jewish people, right? Every time I got to put a disclaimer in there. But let's listen to the most recent testimony of Howard Lutnick when he gets pressed on why he didn't tell the truth about Jeffrey Epstein. And just tell me if it feels authentic to you. Clip number 13.
Lutnick, why did you lie to the New York Post about your relationship with Jeffrey Epstein? Oh, I did hear that. Please don't repeat your gracious offer to speak behind closed doors, not under oath, without the ability of this committee to question you. The American people wants to know, why did you lie about your relationship with Epstein?
The House Oversight Committee and I have agreed
We will spend the
time
reclaiming my
together.
time. I do not accept that answer. We've heard that one. We are our own committee. We have our own reason to test your credibility and veracity. Please answer the question. Why did you lie to the Post?
I have voluntarily agreed to spend the time and talk about it.
I reclaim the time. Let the record reflect you're dodging the question. The cover-up continues. You know what? In your conversations with the president, is the president concerned about your continued relationship that you had with Mr. Epstein as recently as 2018?
I'm not going to discuss conversations I have with the president. That is not something I'm going to do.
If you remember in that interview, you said you would never be in the room with him socially, for business, or even philanthropy. President Trump has just fired 3 cabinet secretaries, 3 women, Kristi Noem, Pam Bondi, Lori Chavez-DeRemer. If President Trump has even a shred of concern about accountability for Jeffrey Epstein's enablers, he would fire you too. Beyond AdFin, what other financial ties do you have to Jeffrey Epstein?
As I said, I'm going to answer all these
Beyond
questions.
AdFin, what other financial ties? You're the Commerce Secretary. We have a right to ask this question and get it answered.
Again, I'm not going to spend the budget day discussing something. I've set aside time to spend on this topic.
I'm going to
with your
switch
House
topics.
colleagues.
Wow.
Okay, how does he come off to you? Now, this is a guy that is very close to Donald Trump. If you know the story of Howard Lutnick did not go to the World Trade Centers on 9/11. He's another one, just like the person who owned the World Trade Centers, who just miraculously didn't go in that day. His entire operation, Cantor Fitzgerald, was destroyed in that moment. And here he comes back, and 25 years later, he's the Commerce Secretary, and he's in all of the pictures with Donald Trump when he's sitting inside of the White House. Just a miracle that he did not go to work that day. Very similar to the owner of the World Trade Center, is just Larry
Silverstein, right? Maybe
Silverstein, exactly. Did not go to, and he doesn't.
Do you know where
when they ask him questions? By the way, he runs away from it every time they ask him as well.
Do you know where Howard Lutnick bought his house from and how much he bought it for?
Which house? I'm sure he's got many.
The house that's connected to Jeffrey Epstein's. He bought it for $10 from a trust that was owned by Jeffrey Epstein and Les Wexner.
I did know that. You're right. Say that one more time for the people in the back row that didn't hear it.
Yeah, here, I'll even read it straight from the files here. It says, Lutnick was a neighbor of Jeffrey Epstein in the adjoining property at 11 East 71st Street, New York, New York. Lutnick bought the property for $10 through a trust. Les Wexner and Epstein owned the property.
And now when you think about the whole situation with Epstein and Les Wexner, who was the limited guy and seems very homosexual to me when I watch him, visual cues. If you go back to these situations, it makes you wonder why Marjorie Taylor Greene is on the outskirts of the administration. All she wanted was transparency. And as she says, Donald Trump said, it's going to hurt a lot of my friends. You need to basically stand down with this Jeffrey Epstein conversation. Okay, so this is the backdrop.
Yep.
Now somebody on the screen, Donna J says, Paula is his Christian. Let's play another clip. All right, let me give you where's my Paula? I like to get her. Hang on, I got to play it because it's just, I love it every time I hear it. It just makes me wonder what's going on in the world. There's just a little Paula. All right, this is
just a little.
No, think of her title, right? She is the spiritual advisor to the White House. This person right here. Okay. Now, as I understand it from the Bible, you're supposed to have an interpreter when you do that.
Turn it back up because it affects your mic volume too.
I think it does it for just a second and then it comes back because I didn't touch anything.
Okay.
So I'll have to pause every once and again. So that is when you speak in tongues, as I understand it, the Bible says you're supposed to have an interpreter, right?
Yep.
I don't think anybody was interpreting anything in that particular.
Because you can pray privately in tongues, but if you're speaking publicly, you need to have an interpreter.
And that was that was in public. That was at whatever she's got going on there. Here's a more recent one of her. Just check out this video. And again, it's like Howard Lutnick. It's like Erica Kirk. It's like Jeffrey Epstein. It's like all of these people that are surrounding Trump. Do you feel authenticity when you watch these people? Are these people that you relate to and how they speak? Do they feel like they're being honest and straightforward with you? Or does it feel just by observation, just looking at people, and you get a gut feeling, and you can't always go with gut feelings, I admit that, but does your gut feeling say, I can't relate to these people at all. They don't look or talk or act or think like I do. Very odd the way they behave, and they're in positions of enormous power. And what was Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, by the way, this came across this morning. Al Jazeera breaking news. U.S. House Oversight Committee Chair James Comer says some panel members are open to U.S. President Donald Trump pardoning Ghislaine Maxwell to secure her cooperation in the Epstein investigation, Reuters reports. So they're going to release her, and you're not going to learn anything more, but everybody's going to cheer it on because she's going to spill the beans on Jeffrey Epstein, which is never going to happen. And this is the way they'll sell this story, right? So my question is, do they feel authentic to you? Let's play this from Paula White. This is the spiritual advisor to the White House in the Donald Trump administration. And again, does this feel authentic to you when you watch Paula White? Go.
These nails for you. Baby, if I gotta get down and crawl. And when you get ready to move in the fullness of God's anointing, you've got to conquer positionally anything that would be over you. If you don't pull down the stronghold, it doesn't have have to be everything, but the devil can have one area of your life. And if you don't get victory in that one area, he will hold you back, because positionally you have to conquer. That's what a stronghold is. The devil has a strong hold on you, and you can prophesy, and you can have money, and you can be good looking, and you can have favor, but if you've got one area that the devil's got you, you won't be able to move into the fullness of the anointing. And until you get salted, you won't be able to have that anointing released, because you'll be too sensitive to go in the gutter to get the glory of God. But God said he's raising up some people that aren't so sensitive, that aren't so weak, that aren't so sissy. Oh my goodness, I wish I could preach it like I was. That if they got to, don't you let this dress fool you. Don't you let these nails fool you. Baby, if I gotta get down and crawl.
Talk to me, Isaiah.
Yeah, I think it's I mean, anytime I see you can make a point, right? And I think there's instances where you're trying to make a point, but in those, it's just so emotional.
Does it feel authentic is all I'm saying. Does it feel
it's so
authentic
emotionally charged, and
or does it feel theatrical?
Yeah, it's very theatrical. That was kind of my point, is that I don't feel like she's teaching me anything necessarily.
Right.
She's just trying to get me riled up, We're gonna have someone that no more sissies, and we're gonna
right.
You could claim this, and you could prophesy, and you can have money, but if there's one area, God's not gonna release it to you. And I bet, I'm.
She feels like Jimmy
really
Swaggart. She feels like Jimmy Swaggart to me.
Yeah, 100%.
That's what it feels like. Yeah,
I gotta imagine that she circles it back to tithing somehow.
Of course, it's always about money.
If you're not tithing, then God can't release his anointing to you.
Yes. That's kind of what I was, that's just my vibe on her. And again, if you have a different vibe, then, we're all praying to the same God. Let's hope that we're right? We're just trying to do that.
Just from a biblical perspective, this is my problem with Paula White mainly, is that she's the senior advisor to the faith office. So she's not just advising President Trump. There's hundreds of pastors that come around at different times from the nation that come there, and she's the one coordinating with them to do these prayer dinners, to have these meetings with President Trump and things like that. So,
oh my.
It's not just President Trump she's influencing. There's big Jensen Franklin, there's big names out there that people know in the Christian world that are surrounding themselves around her too.
I don't know. She feels phony to me. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Feels phony. All right. So we started with Lutnick, and somebody said Lutnick's brother died. We talked about that before the show started, right? A lot of these people that get into power, these are just theories that are out there that I want to just we'll throw out on. We'll call it Open Talk Friday, where we can just talk about anything and you won't be judged for it. How about that? Can I get one day
where
we can talk about things? One day where people don't judge me on the things that I say. There's a lot of people that believe that you have to sacrifice somebody in your family to really move up into the upper echelons of power. Okay, there's a lot of people that believe that. You have Donald Trump's brother who died of alcoholism, right? So this was a very close person to him. You have who are all the people that we were talking about earlier that had Robert F. Kennedy Jr. His wife died of alcoholism in their home.
Thomas Massey's wife just died. There's a belief that this is going on. Now, what do I know? I'm just telling you that when you say his brother died and now he's in this position of power, you could also make the argument from the other side that you have to sacrifice somebody in order to be a part of the club, and it has to be a sacrifice of somebody that you love. And I think those are part of the rules, if I remember correctly, that David Wilcox was talking about. I think that's one of those rules that you have to do, is you have to sacrifice a loved one to move up.
Somebody said that Paula White said you have to actually tithe to Israel.
I have seen things like that, giving to Israel is, that's going to enrich you somehow or bring prosperity, because that's God's chosen people.
Okay.
Yep.
Did you know that there is a town in Texas where they found out that part of their taxes for their county was going directly to Israel? It was $4 million that was going directly to Israel. I think it was every month or every year. It doesn't really matter. But the money was going directly to Israel. They made public news of that and said they did not want their money going to Israel anymore. And Abbott, the governor of Texas, jumped in and said, this is not for you to decide. That money is going to Israel, and that's going to be the bottom line. And I thought, so a county in Texas has their money, taxpayer money, going to Israel, and when they throw a fit about it, the governor of Texas jumps in, Abbott, the little guy in the wheelchair, He comes in and says, no, we override you, and this money will continue to go to Israel. I mean, what is going on? Same thing with the IDF soldier that shows up and speaks to Governor Mike Kehoe. Not an IDF soldier, an IDF general. And it was publicized that an IDF general was in to speak to the governor of Missouri. And I'm thinking to myself, what does a military IDF general, why is he coming to speak to my governor in the state of Missouri? Why can't I speak out against Israel? Why do I have to sign a loyalty pledge to do business with the state of Missouri? I have to sign a loyalty pledge with Israel. Why are they now passing anti-free speech laws to protect Israeli, I guess, Jewish citizens of Missouri? Why are they passing? There's already laws against these things, but now you're separating a class and basically saying if you don't agree with any of the history that surrounds the Jewish people, that you're in big trouble for it. You can't even question things anymore. Why would the state of Missouri be putting forth these laws? And they're overwhelmingly being passed, Isaiah. I mean, they're just skating right through the Republican Party. Yeah. Unanimous decisions. Oh, you carve out something for the Jewish people right away.
That's what we just did we didn't carve it out, but we just passed an anti-Semitism law that's already a federal law. We passed it in Missouri.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Haruza is the one who put it on the bill. And I questioned it then, and I'm sure he's a very nice man, but I don't understand it. I don't know how that has anything to do with
Trent,
Missouri.
too.
Curtis
Trent, yeah.
He's another one. All right, so we have Paula White. I showed you Lutnick. Trump did not put his hand on the Bible. The question is Donald Trump, or did he convert to Judaism? Is he a Christian? Is this real where he's reading the Bible? Do you think that he is a spiritual man, or do you think it's transactionary? Or, like I do you think he actually converted to Judaism? Now, his daughter did, so it's not so far off the menu that it couldn't possibly happen. I'm sure he loves his daughter very much. She converted to Judaism. He has everybody surrounding him is a Zionist. Everybody. I mean, I don't even think he has talks with anybody who's not a Zionist anymore. Now let's move on to this. All right. Let's go back to the point, and I want to ask you from a biblical standpoint, where he's asked whether he's going to go to heaven or not. And he says, I'm not going to heaven. It's clip number 4, Isaiah, if you want to play that one. And my question is, when you're a Christian and you give your life to Jesus and you behave in a moral manner as best you possibly can, doesn't that kind of say that you're at least, you'd want to think you're going to heaven, because that's basically saying I'm trying to live by the laws that Jesus put before me. But is he? It's clip number 4. Check it out.
Let's go. Sorry, I was looking something up. There we go.
Multitasking.
A couple weeks ago, you were doing an interview and you talked about how you hope to end the war in Ukraine because it might help you get into heaven. How does this help? Does this help?
I mean, I'm being a little cute. I don't think there's anything going to get me in heaven. Okay, I really don't. I think I'm not maybe heaven bound. I may be in heaven right now as we fly in Air Force One. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to make heaven. But I've made life a lot better for a lot of people. And, as an example, had the election of 2020 not been rigged, you would have millions of people living just in Russia, Ukraine alone. That would have never happened. And it didn't happen for 4 years.
Okay. From a biblical standpoint, what does that signify? Because most people think, as he said, I'm just being cute. But I think if you're the president of the United States and you're a Christian, aren't Christians supposed to spread the word?
Yeah, that's
right?
Matthew 28.
There you go. If you're a Christian, if you have any minuscule understanding of Christianity, like that's where I'm at. I'm learning as we go here. But I understand that I'm supposed to spread the word of Jesus Christ. And if somebody asks me whether I'm going to heaven or not, that's not a time to play games and be funny. I don't think. I mean, I just think it's a bad signal to Christians around the world when the president of the United States says, I don't think I'm just being cute, but I don't think I'm going to heaven. Maybe I'm in heaven right now on this Air Force One.
Yeah.
What is your take on that? You're a biblical scholar.
Yeah. So just a couple of verses I pulled up here. For anyone who maybe feels maybe also like President Trump doesn't have confidence in themselves, and maybe they think, oh, I don't know if I'm going to heaven or I'm not. Well, the Bible tells us that in 1 John 1:9, it says, if we confess with our mouth that Jesus is Lord and that God raised him from the dead, you shall be saved. And so if you've confessed your sins and you believe that Jesus is Lord, then you are going to heaven. Now, do you believe that Jesus is a good prophet? Then you're probably not going to heaven. There's definitely some beliefs you have to hold. I don't believe Muslims are going to heaven. I don't believe Mormons are going to heaven because they have a skewed view. But 1 John 1 tells us that. And then there's many verses that tell us that we can be confident in this. And so Ephesians 3 says, in him and through faith in him, we may approach God with freedom and confidence. 2 Corinthians tells us such confidence we have through Christ before God. Not that we are competent in ourselves to claim anything for ourselves, but our competence comes from God. And so I think it's a slap in the face to say that you don't know that you're going to heaven, because Jesus tells us that if you believe that you are going to heaven, that's what he tells to the thief on the cross right next to him, right? Like I said before, did everything wrong in his whole life up until that point. He's getting crucified on the cross next to Jesus. He's a thief, and Jesus tells him that he's going to be with him in paradise today, just because he says that he is the Messiah. And so you can have confidence in your salvation. You can have confidence knowing that you're going to go to heaven, and you don't have to be conceited about it. You know, it's that, no, I know because I believe in Jesus. He's the only way. And he says, I'm the way, the truth, and the life. And no one gets to the Father except through me. And so that's how we can have that confidence.
Okay. And
from a biblical perspective.
So I didn't misrepresent that because I understand, you know, I think one of our listeners says, you know, this is classic Trump. You know, he has a sense of humor and all this. I understand that. But he's also the president of the United States. Right. It's different when me and you do it. Now, if you want to laugh at what Donald Trump does, that doesn't mean that everybody's laughing. If you're a person of faith and someone has sold you on their Christian faith, like I said, when he had that whole the riots going on in Washington, D.C., and he walks out with his entourage and he's walking out like he's a big tough guy. He's not afraid of these protesters, and he stands up and he holds the Bible in front of the church. People believe that he has Christian values and he has some basic understanding of Christianity. And I think when you that to me, I don't take it in a negative light. I really didn't. I didn't take that as anything. I'm stacking the blocks before you so that you can understand where I'm coming from. But I think as a Christian person, I would feel the weight of my Savior at that particular moment if somebody asked me that question. It would not be time for me to play cutesy. I would look at that and go, you know, I don't want to be messing around with Jesus right now. I'm going to be very serious about that particular question. But again, that's just how I perceive it to be. That's just how I perceive it to be. Let's move to the next one. This you might remember way back. This was when he was running for office in 2016, and he's on Frank Lutz, I think is his name. Now here's another guy who's he's got the toupee on, and he's always the one that says this is how you run campaigns. You have to use the right words and all this stuff. You remember Lutz from he was a pollster, a famous pollster, and Donald Trump was sitting down with him. And at some point, this is a little bit long, but I want people to see it because I like to take people back in time. So I want you to see the entire context of it. But Lutz asked him, does he ever ask God for forgiveness? And then you can listen to Donald Trump. You might remember this, but if you don't, I'm stacking all this on top of you, and then we'll get to the creme de la creme here in just a bit. But here's the way Donald Trump answered that question. It is clip number, what is it?
7.
Clip number 7. Thank you.
So we've got people lined up for questions. I just got one more, because you used the word Christian. Have you ever asked God for forgiveness?
That's a tough question. I don't think in terms of, I'm a religious person. Shockingly, because people are so shocked when they find this out, I'm Protestant, I'm Presbyterian. And I go to church and I love God and I love my church. And Norman Vincent Peale, the great Norman Vincent Peale was my pastor. The power of positive thinking. Everybody's heard of Norman, and I love my church. And Norman Vincent Peale, the great Norman Vincent Peale was my pastor. The power of positive thinking. Everybody's heard of Norman Vincent Peale. He was so great. He would give a sermon you never wanted to leave. Sometimes we have sermons, and every once in a while we think about leaving a little early, right, even though we're Christian. Dr. Norman Vincent Peale, Frank, would give a sermon. I'm telling you, I still remember his sermons. It was unbelievable. And what he would do is he'd bring real-life situations, modern-day situations, into the sermon. And you could listen to him all day long. When you left the church, you were disappointed that it was over. He was the greatest guy. And then, you know, he passed away, but he was a great... He wrote The Power of Positive Thinking, which is a great book.
But have you ever asked God for forgiveness?
I'm not sure I have. I just go and try and do a better job from there. I don't think so. I think if I do something wrong, I think I just try and make it right. I don't bring God into that picture. I don't. Now, when I take, you know, when we go in church and when I drink my little wine, which is about the only wine I drink, and have my little cracker, I guess that's a form of asking for forgiveness. And I do that as often as possible because I feel cleansed, okay? But, you know, to me, that's important. I do that. But in terms of officially, I could say absolutely, and everybody,
I don't think in terms of that. I think in terms of let's go on and let's make.
Okay. All right. So does not ask for forgiveness. Now, again, all these are in pieces. Any one of these on their own really doesn't mean all that much to me. It's when you stack them on top of each other. So there he goes. He's never asked for forgiveness. He tried to skip around that question. He came back to it and he said, I don't think of it in those terms. When I do something wrong, I just try to write it. I don't bring God into that equation. That to me, even when I was, I would say an imposter Christian is what I thought I was up until I gave turned my life. When I decided to say, God, you take the wheel from here on. You guide me. I'm not doing so well. My life has not worked out the way I had wanted it to. I was very successful from a financial standpoint, had the beautiful wife and the beautiful family, but there was never peace, I guess is what I would say, in my heart until this happened. And now I'm a much more peaceful person, even though I lose my temper sometimes. I don't really lose it. I shouldn't even say that. I allow my temper to be seen. Some people think I'm crazy, but I'm at much more peace now than I've ever been in my entire life, with a completely different equation in my life as far as money and material things and perception and everything else. Go ahead, Isaiah.
I was going to say that his pastor, Norman Vincent Peale, died in 1993. So this is his pastor. We're talking 2016, and he's talking about his pastor who died in 1993.
So he died 23 years prior.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Okay. So that's
his pastor.
That's his pastor, the great Norman Peale. All right, now let's move into Adelson. Okay. Now this kind of takes us into what I think is actually happening here. Now this is the conversation. He's over in Israel, and Miriam Adelson. Now you got to remember, because we play the clips all the time, Donald Trump said, I'm not going to take money from anybody. All of these people that are taking big campaigns from the Adelsons are just basically puppets for the Adelsons. This is what he was saying. It's just so crazy. And then he comes back and gets $250 million from Adelson. Now all of our policy seems to be shaped around whatever Israel wants to do or whatever wars they want to fight, what have you. Now everything is shaped around that. We've got to remember Mike Johnson, who's another Zionist. Mike Johnson said when he got the gavel, just crazy to me how this whole thing is playing out. When he's unanimously confirmed, by the way, Mike Johnson from Louisiana, when he comes in, the first thing he does as the new Speaker of the House, the first legislation he says he's going to pass is money for Israel. With America just going down the tubes and everybody fighting with each other and the economy a mess and everything else, Mike Johnson says the number one priority for him is to fund Israel. Okay? Now, here's Donald Trump saying that he is, and you can see the flattery that he's giving to Miriam Adelson. And then you're going to hear just a little comment that was talked about at the time. And I think, like everything else, until you put it all together, it doesn't make a lot of sense. But he says, and I think her loyalty is to Israel. So I want you to think about that. You're giving the president of just think of it just for a second, slow down and think of what that actually means. The most powerful man in America, politically, as we understand it, who says he's not going to take money from anybody because people that take money from these big donors are then loyal to those donors. Then you take it to 8 years forward or 9 years forward, and he's having the same conversation with the same donors that he once railed against, and now he's getting $250 million, the biggest donor to his campaign, Miriam Adelson. And then he says, and I think her loyalties are to Israel. So the biggest donor to the Donald Trump campaign, according to Donald Trump, he thinks that her loyalties lie with Israel. So what do you think the $250 million was for? Was it for the betterment of America, or was it for the betterment of Israel, just based on how Donald Trump explains it himself? Not me. I'm just giving you the short version. Okay. Play this very quickly. This is clip number 5. This is Donald Trump talk in Israel, giving a speech to the Knesset. Is that what it's called?
Yep, the Knesset. Yep.
And directly talking to Miriam Adelson. Check it out.
President for decades said, we're going to do it. The difference is I kept my promise and officially recognized the capital of Israel and moved the American embassy to Jerusalem. Isn't that right, Miriam? Look at Miriam. She's back there. Stand up, Miriam. Stand up.
Can you pause it?
Of course.
Miriam and
now look at the backdrop on the screen. Okay. Now, if you look at the backdrop, they're all Israeli flags. Okay. You notice when in America, if you go to some of these senators and House people's, you go to their offices, there's an Israeli flag and an American flag. This is the American president. Wouldn't you suspect, and these are just little symbolic things that I start to notice, wouldn't you suspect that he'd be an American flag and an Israeli flag in this particular speech? He does represent, I thought, represent the interest of America. So if he's the American president speaking to a body in Israel, I understand the Israeli flag because that's where they're at, but wouldn't you have an American flag saying, I'm an American and I represent the interest of America as I give this speech to your Knesset? Nobody notices these things anymore. Continue on.
Oh, let's fast forward here. Sorry, my bad.
It's okay.
Start here. Clapping for Miriam.
There you go. Those with the most money are the most beloved.
Miriam, stand up, please. She really is. I mean, she loves this country.
Not America.
Right.
She loves this country. Her and her husband are so incredible. We miss him so dearly. But I actually asked her, I'm going to get her in trouble with this, but I actually asked her once, I said, so Miriam, I know you love Israel. What do you love more, the United States or Israel? She refused to answer. That might mean Israel, I must say. We love you. Thank you, darling, for being here. That's a great honor.
That's good.
Great honor. She's a wonderful woman.
Wow.
That's good. Now, interestingly enough, the idea that you would have, if you're a dual citizen, this is part of the anti-Semitism new laws that we're under. If you suggest that a Jewish person who has dual citizenship has more loyalty to Israel than their home country, that's considered to be anti-Semitic. That's why you hear the quietness.
Yeah.
When he says that.
Yeah.
Right? That's considered to be anti-Semitic now. The fact that you would say that Miriam Adelson, who's an American citizen, also an Israeli citizen, would have more loyalties to Israel, that's an anti-Semitic language now.
Yep.
I don't know if people know that. That's why you hear it quiet. You can't even question anymore whether somebody's loyalty lies with Israel over America, even when they're dual citizens. Right? I don't know how many people know that. The IHRA is the one who is determining what anti-Semitism, the definition of anti-Semitism is coming from the IHRA, which is now law in Missouri. It's now law in Florida. It's being passed all over the country because your rights to question other countries no longer exists. Well, it does, except for one other country, and that would be Israel, the same country that bombed the USS Liberty. And the people that survived it say that Israel knew that they were doing it, and our government shut them up for 30 years. Wouldn't even let them speak.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're in their 80s and they don't care anymore. And I've had them on. I'm going to have them on again. I might try to get them on next week. I'd like to get all those guys on to tell that story again because it's fascinating to me that your supposed greatest ally in the world intentionally bombed an American ship in 1967, killed 34 people and wounded many others. It was an absolute bloodbath is the way it's described. And our government wants to keep that quiet. They say it's an accident. The people that were on the boat say it wasn't. And I guess we just roll on with life as though it didn't happen again. It's just crazy to me.
Something else I just found out that I didn't realize because I looked up his pastor, the Norman Vincent Peale guy. He was a pastor of a church in called the Marble Collegiate Church in New York City, a huge church. But the denomination is the Reformed Church of America, which Reformed Church, that's the church that is against the pro-Israel ideology. Isn't that ironic?
It's very ironic.
Yeah. So they are not dispensationalists. They believe in what's called covenant theology, that the church is the new Israel. And that's who he's saying his pastor is. Very interesting.
Yeah. What do we make of that? What do we make of that? Because again, this could be 5D chess where he's keeping his enemies closer. You could make that argument. I keep telling people you can make that argument. The reason that argument doesn't really sit well with me is all boils back for me with COVID.
Yeah.
COVID to me was inexcusable. Too many people in my life. If somebody comes in and destroys lives of 7 or 8 people around me, kills them, makes them sick, they die from cancer, they die from heart disease, they have a stroke or something like that, and you're pushing a medicine that everybody knows is not healthy for you, it's hard for me to put you on the right side of things. I just can't get there. I know a lot of people can. They can make whatever excuse they want. I can't get in that boat with you. I just think that was a horrible, horrible time in our country. It was crazy. I saw so many lives destroyed from COVID, and to continue to tell people to go out and get their boosters and continue to have it on the schedule so that young babies are taking it. I can't get there with you. I just can't do it. I'm sorry. I apologize. I can't get there with you. All right. Now let's get down to brass tacks. These are the two that I really want to get to. So now you have all that information before you. And now he is up giving a speech, and he says, right in the middle of talking, I'm not a Christian. Right as he's imploring Christians to vote in the 2024 election, he just blurts out right in the middle of it, I am not a Christian.
Yeah,
right?
Where did that come from?
Where did that come from? All right, check it out. It is clip number 6.
Again, Christians, get out and vote just this time. You won't have to do it anymore. 4 more years, you know what? It'll be fixed. It'll be fine. You won't have to vote anymore, my beautiful Christians. I love you, Christians. I'm not Christian. I love you. Get out. You got to get out and vote. In 4 years, you don't have to vote again. We'll have it fixed so good you're not going to have to vote.
Did you hear it?
I'm not Christian, but get out and vote.
Play it one more time so people can hear it because it's quick.
Absolutely.
But there's no mistake. I mean, you don't make a mistake by saying I'm not. Christians, go out and vote. And he's talking to him like he's not a Christian. He's not saying we Christians. He's saying Christians, you go out and vote. You only have to vote one more time. What does that mean, by the way? You only have to vote one more time. Yeah. Christians, go out and vote. I'll have everything fixed, as though somebody can unwind everything when they become the next president. Nothing structurally has been done in this country so far. So if we're wishing for it to happen, we can at least admit it hasn't happened yet. And he is saying, I'm not a Christian, right dead square in the middle of begging Christians for their vote. Check it out.
And again, Christians, get out and vote just this time. You won't have to do it anymore. 4 more years, you know what? It'll be fixed. It'll be fine. You won't have to vote anymore, my beautiful Christians. I love you, Christians. I'm not Christian. Out and vote. My beautiful Christians. I love you, Christians. I'm not Christian.
Did we catch it?
Right?
I love you, Christians. I'm not Christian.
Even points to himself.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
Right there for everybody to see. And because we are so enamored with this man and he is going to save us from the evil Democrats, that just goes right past everybody's head. And I wouldn't even care if he came out and said, I'm Jewish.
Yeah.
I'd be fine with it. Right? I really would. I wouldn't like it necessarily, but at least he's being honest with me. The idea that he's drawing Christians into this mess, and I don't know where my government is going, and there's so much tension in our society and anxiety in our society, and then somebody who ran with Christians all around him, wrapped up in the Bible. Here's a guy that is out on campaign speeches, right dead square in the middle of asking Christians for their vote. I'm not Christian. And where are the questions? It's like the COVID question with Megyn Kelly. Why no more questions after that? I just got to ask everybody, if you don't think this is all not a rigged game, and that's why we started with David Wilcock saying they have to show you what they're doing to get your okay. They have to do that. It's part of their ideology is to show you what they're doing and have you accept it. Okay. So start from that premise. This guy that just passed away, this is what he was saying on his podcast or whatever the hell he was doing, YouTuber, I guess. And then Donald Trump does it right in the middle of his speech, and there's no slipping of the tongue. It's not like he was trying to say something else. He even pointed to himself when he said, I'm not a Christian.
Mm-hmm. And the language that so I saw someone said, I thought he said, I'm a Christian. And if you're maybe listening to it, you might be able to hear that, but
I didn't hear that.
Clear.
I heard
he's pretty clear. He says, I'm not Christian. And the context of the verbiage that he's using as he's talking to this group, this is a Turning Point Action group. This is a faith group that he's talking to, a Christian group. And he says, you Christians, you got to get out and vote.
Correct. Play it again.
You won't have to do it again. Let's watch it again.
So people can just get a feel for it.
Christians, get out and vote just this time. You won't have to do it anymore.
You won't have to do it anymore.
4 more years, you know what? It'll be fixed. It'll be fine. You won't have to vote anymore, my beautiful.
You won't have to vote anymore.
Beautiful Christians. I love you, Christians. I'm not Christian. I love you. Get out.
I love you, Christians. I'm not Christian.
Yep. I love you, Christians. I'm not Christian. I love you, Christians. I'm not Christian.
Christians. I'm not Christian.
You hear that?
I thought it was obvious. I heard it live and went, what? Did he just say he's not Christian?
Yeah, let's read his lips too, Rob. Let's try.
I love you, Christians. I'm not Christian.
Yeah, I'm not Christian.
Yeah, I'm not Christian.
You can see it. Yeah, and he points to himself when he says it.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
It says on the closed caption, says it's not Christian, not very clear. Says not very clear. If you caption,
Yep.
it says not very clear.
That's what I was going to do. I was going to test the closed captions because I'm sure it would.
It was pretty clear. It was pretty clear to me. I wasn't even looking for it, but I remember when I heard it, when he said it, I'm like, did he just say he's not a Christian? Right? Just immediately, that's the way I interpreted it to be. So let's move on. So I think that he says he's not Christian there. Now let's go to the one where he's with Mark Levin, where Mark Levin says this is our first Jewish president, and he says that's right, it's true, right? That's what he says. All right. Clip number 8. Here is Mark Levin telling the audience that Donald Trump is the first Jewish president as he manhandles Donald Trump, wrapping him around his right paw and making sure that everybody knows that Donald Trump is his boy. Check it out.
Israel. Hold on. And he loves Israel too. It's true. Like, 2 seconds. Just 2 seconds. 6 years ago, I was up here. And I said, this is our first Jewish president. It's true. Now he's the first Jewish president to serve 2 not consecutive presidencies. We thank you for everything.
That's right. Bad things happened on the second one. Namely, the election was rigged. And we found out, and you see that happening. But,
and you are the greatest president.
Thank you very much.
And God bless you. I miss you. I miss you.
Okay, that's good. Now here's Mark Levin just recently. So Mark Levin talking about Tucker Carlson, right? He says it was Tucker Carlson and his brother Buckley just did a podcast together. Mark Levin posted something about it and said, 2 spoiled frat boy punks who've publicly humiliated themselves and sold out their country. Okay, so these are the people that Donald Trump. I don't think that Tucker Carlson is Jewish, is he? Tucker Carlson says that he's a Christian.
Yeah.
And the people that are surrounding themselves around Donald Trump, the people that Donald Trump is surrounding himself with, this is where they're coming from. This is who they are, and this is how they talk about. But Dan Crenshaw, by the way, this is what he had to say about Tucker Carlson. Dan Crenshaw, Eye Patch McCain. Where do you think Dan Crenshaw went to school?
Yale, Princeton, or Harvard.
He went to Harvard. Okay. And not only did he go to Harvard, he was the reason he got the name Eye Patch McCain is because everybody said he is exactly like John McCain. Says that he's a conservative, does nothing conservative, relies on his war resume in order to get into a position of power. And then because he has a war resume, you're not supposed to be able to criticize him. Okay. This is what Dan Crenshaw had to say just recently about Tucker Carlson. Says, I hate to say I told you so, but I did for years. Now everyone's eyes are open. What is it that they say about the one-eyed man? So Tucker's latest idea of America First is, now this is all BS. This is not even based in reality whatsoever, but this is what the guy from Harvard, the propagandist, Eye Patch McCain, had to say about Tucker Carlson. Kamala is president. This is what he claims that when Tucker Carlson said, I have to apologize for moving so many people toward Donald Trump, he interpreted that as he wanted Kamala Harris to be president. I think what he's trying to say is the man's character now versus what I thought it was at the time. He's not saying that he would ever vote for Kamala Harris, but this is the way Dan Crenshaw likes to sell it. Iran has nuclear ballistic missiles. He's now saying that the only way we would have kept Iran from having nuclear weapons is to go in there and blow up their society. You can determine whether that's going to be the case or not. Russia dictates the global order. Okay. He has never met a U.S. adversary he won't defend. Tucker is not loyal to anything but his bank account, and shame on the people giving him the engagement and views he needs to keep the grift going. For God's sake, stop pretending that doing your own research means regurgitating podcast bros and Tucker and Candace. Okay. Didn't say that about Mark Levin. He's doing the same thing. Didn't say that about Ben Shapiro. These people are unhappy with the other side. Now, I think it's all fake fighting. Don't get me wrong. I've said that many times, but I'm just saying you're siding with a different religion than what we believe you are, right? Now do you have that clip from yesterday with Rick Wiles?
Let's see.
Look at yesterday, and it should be, I don't know what the title of it was. Did Trump convert? Maybe it might have been the title. How about that? Tucker's wife is Jewish. I didn't know that. Is that true?
Really?
That's what one of our listeners said.
Oh, that was an article that you had sent me.
But there's a video embedded.
Yeah. Let me go ahead. I just have to share it a different way to be able to see it.
Okay. I want to play that because this is where I had been thinking about it, And then somebody sent me that video, and I thought, man, I've been thinking about this. It's probably time for me to just ask the question.
Yeah.
Because again, I say if Donald Trump had said he wanted to be the first Jewish president and had converted, I don't know that I would lose my mind over it. I wouldn't be happy about it. I think this is a Christian nation, but I'd feel comfortable understanding what his ideology is. But when he wraps himself in the Bible, tells everybody he's a Christian man, is very heavily involved. And then look at Turning Point USA, right? So this was apparently, at least under Charlie Kirk, a Christian organization. Haven't really heard much about Charlie Kirk since his assassination from the Trump administration. They're basically trying to put this investigation to bed that nobody believes in. I would think 80% of the country thinks the story being told about Butler and about the Charlie Kirk assassination doesn't ring true to them. And Donald Trump has really not said much more about it. When he was asked what he had to say about the Charlie Kirk assassination, if you remember, he went right into the construction going on for the ballroom. Didn't even just completely walked over the top of it. Okay. So these are all the things that are giving me hints that there might be more to the story from a spiritual standpoint. Here is this guy. I think his name is Rick Wiles. This was on May 22nd, 2019. He's reading an article from a Jewish publication in Israel. So he's reading an Israeli publication about Donald Trump converting to Judaism in, I guess, 2017. Check it out.
Trump converted to Judaism 2 years ago, according to White House official. There it is. That's his blog. He said, President Donald Trump converted to Judaism 2 years ago and joined Chabad Lubavitch Synagogue in New York City, according to a high-level White House official. Mr. Goldberg says the story has allegedly been held by CNN's editors for months, but is due to be released within the next few days. David Elias Goldberg, a fellow at the Jewish Center of Anti-Semitic Study, has also interviewed the White House source. According to the source, Trump was pushed by his daughter Ivanka and son-in-law Jared Kushner to join the faith. At first, Trump resisted, stating it would threaten his base of evangelical Christian voters. However, he had a change of heart and officially converted in early 2017. The ceremony was held in private and closely guarded for nearly 2 years. It appears the White House is prepared to slowly release this information, and by summer, it is expected Trump will fully address his new faith in an evening televised news conference. He is clearly the most pro-Israel president in the history of America. He's given Israel every single thing that they've wanted, and he's about to give them war with Iran. Okay. And so has he converted? So I want to show you one more article. This is, let me see if I can.
This is the Times of Israel.
Yeah, the Times of Israel. This was published March 22nd, 2019. This is the Times of Israel. Trump, the first Jewish president of the United States.
Now, that's not us saying that. That's Times of Israel. Times of what nation? Israel.
So the people in Israel, that's an English-speaking newspaper in Israel, and that's what they read, that Donald Trump is the first Jewish president of the United States.
And how did they qualify that, Rick?
They gave a list of things that he did for Israel.
First of one, of course, moving the embassy to Jerusalem.
That's right.
That was a big deal.
Then recognizing Israeli sovereignty over the Golan Heights.
Okay.
Very interesting.
Somebody asked who that was. His name is Rick Wiles. He's a pastor, I guess. It says conspiracy, Christian fundamentalist and senior pastor, non-denominational church called Flowing Streams Church. That's who he is. I think he does a television show. That's how that got out into the public. But
very interesting.
When you see all that, would you at least admit that there's a question should be asked? Have you converted to Judaism? Do you think that is one question that should be asked? You can see him say that he is. When Mark Levin says our first Jewish president, he says that he is. A publication out of Israel says that he converted in 2017. Right in the middle of his speech to Turning Point USA, he says, "I'm not a Christian." He's surrounded by Zionists who are looking to expand the Israeli First Project, or Israeli, what's it called?
Greater Israel
Project. I'm sorry, the Greater Israel Project. We're bombing Iran, which everybody was afraid to do, but now we're doing it in the year 2026. Howard Lutnick, Jared Kushner, Steve Witkoff. Look at all these people that are Zionists around him. Ivanka Trump, Howard Lutnick, Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner, Paula White, Pete Hegseth, Mark Levin, Ben Shapiro, Ted Cruz, Mike Johnson, Mike Huckabee. That's just, those are off the top of my head in 30 seconds before we started this, but everybody surrounding him now, everybody that's in his ear has a Zionist ideology, and all of the legislation that is going on that is to protect Israel and to fund Israel is eye-opening to me. It's very eye-opening, and I think that I think it's worthy of some conversation myself.
Yeah, the funny thing is that what they were mentioning in the video there is that he is part of Chabad Lubavitch, which we talked a little bit about yesterday. But if you know anything about Chabad Lubavitch, they're an ultra-Orthodox sect of Judaism, a Hasidic Judaism, and they really are not Zionists as a religious group. They don't believe that Israel should exist as it is today. They're not really aligned with the Israeli government. A lot of these ultra-Orthodox sects of Judaism believe that the Messiah is the only one who can set up the nation of Israel. When the Messiah comes, their version of the first coming of the Messiah, right? But it's the second coming of Christ is what it's going to be. They think that that is how the nation of Israel should be started, not from a man. And so they're not really pro. So it's just interesting, you know, he's an extreme Zionist, but he's a lot of the Jews that you'll see in the offices with presidents are Chabad Lubavitchers. And they're wearing the black hats, the black coats. Yeah. Those are mostly Chabad people. And so, and it's also a very mystical religion, like we talked about yesterday. The Zohar, you can look that up. That's a book that they read. It's for Kabbalah, which is Jewish mysticism. You know, Madonna practiced Kabbalah, all these different things. A lot of weird stuff that they're into. And once you just learn more and more about it, you're like, what the heck is this?
I'm already there.
Yeah. And why is President Trump associating himself with these people? So
all right. Let's take a little quick break. We're going to do Jeff Foxworthy. Do you like Jeff Foxworthy?
Oh, yeah.
I got a couple clips about the way it was. I just was looking up clips from comedians about the way life was when I was a kid versus the way it is now. And this kind of struck a chord with me. One of my favorite Jeff Foxworthy bits, it was way back in the 80s when I think it was one of the first times he did stand-up where he got recognized. I think it was on an HBO special. And he talks about somebody coming to the door to repossess the car. And his famous line is, "You know you're a redneck when." And he said, "You know you're a redneck when somebody comes to your door and says they're going to repossess your car." And he says, "You can't repossess my car. You can't repossess I need that car to get to work." And he goes, "You don't have any cash?" And the guy goes, "No, I don't have any cash." He goes, "Can you write a check?" And he goes, "Well, hell yeah, I can write a check." He goes, "Why don't we just pay that whole thing off right now?" It cracked me up. Thought that was funny.
That's awesome.
But just a quick little break, maybe 5 minutes here for Jeff Foxworthy, and then I want to talk about Erica Kirk a little bit, and just the assassination plots and what people think about that. It's open mind. How about that?
Yeah.
Open mind Friday. I need to come up with a tag, Open Mind Friday, just where we talk about things that you normally wouldn't talk about, but why not? I mean, we're a free society. Let's have some
Freaky Friday, right?
A lot of people are thinking it. I can tell you that. A lot of people are thinking it. They're afraid to say anything about Erica Kirk because they feel like it's just
it's a no subject, right? It's kind of
it is, and I can understand where people are coming from on that side of the fence. But it's a little bit of time has passed here. Turning Point USA is in a completely different direction than when Charlie Kirk was running the show. It's completely different now, and she feels disingenuous to me. I can't help it. I just can't help.
Gosh, before we go to Jeff Foxworthy, did you see the president of the University of Georgia Turning Point chapter resigned?
Yes,
because of the way Turning Point was going was not what Charlie had set out for it to be.
Correct. Yep. That was big news. In fact, I think Candace Owens wrote about that. Let me see if I got it here.
Yeah. I messaged the young girl trying to get her on the show. So.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. We'll see.
Hey, here's Candace Owens. She made mention of it. So Candace Owens put this out. I'm ready for you, by the way. I got everything, Isaiah. If there's news, I have it in my little stack here.
I figured.
Here we go. This is what
we got to get you an overhead camera like Alex Jones so people can see how many papers you got.
I got a little bald spot starting to emerge. We don't want to see that. I'm gonna do the comb over here.
Hey, maybe we can get you one of Trump's hats, one of Randy Fine's hats, his little hat. You know.
Yes, something needs to cover this thing up. I might have to start wearing hats. I'll be wearing baseball hats before too long. Listen, I'm not giving up easy. I'm going to try and keep this thing rolling. All right, here's what Candace Owens had to say. She said the president of Turning Point's University of Georgia chapter will be resigning later this evening due to the internal treatment and subsequent public lies told by Turning Point USA executives surrounding Erica Kirk's last-minute cancellation of the event with Vice President J.D. Vance. Remember we said that there was nobody there. J.D. Vance showed up at this arena. The thing was completely empty. She claimed that Andrew Colvett claimed that it was because all the liberals bought up the tickets. She claimed that it was a security issue. Neither one of those made any sense because none of the liberals showed up, obviously. Ticket sales were down, and there could have been a security problem or J.D. Vance wouldn't have shown up. So nothing made any sense.
And the Secret Service came out saying there was no threats at all.
Exactly. So apparently this Turning Point University of Georgia chapter, the president of the Turning Points University of Georgia chapter will be resigning later this evening. This is a couple days back, so she's already resigned due to the internal treatment and subsequent public lies told by Turning Point executives surrounding Erica Kirk's last-minute cancellation of the event with Vice President J.D. Vance. Now what I'm starting to notice is she's going to start giving her presentations in churches where the stands are going to be full no matter what. Yep. Right. She doesn't have to go to an arena, invite people in and try to get a big crowd in there now. Now she's just going to go to these mega churches where they come out and applaud for her. And it's going to look like she's got a big supportive audience, which is the clip we'll play when we get back from a little comedy break.
Leave it hanging. Got to see it a little bit, right?
Little 5-minute comedy break. Jeff Foxworthy. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
But they have a rule in my neighborhood. If you walk your dog and your dog does his business in somebody else's yard, you need to get a little plastic bag, pick it up, and dispose of it. And I know the dogs are confused. The dogs are like, wait a minute, you're taking it back home? Why did we have to walk 3 blocks? I could have pooped in the living room, saved us both some embarrassment. What a stupid rule. Why would they have us pick it up? It's fertilizer. It makes the grass grow. Lord, it's not like some child is going to step in it. A kid hadn't played in the yard since 1982. You know what's sad? We have an entire generation that has no idea how to get dog poop off the bottom of their shoe. But when I was growing up, we played in the yard every day, and every day somebody stepped in dog poop. And when it was your turn, you knew what to do about it. You would hobble over to the curb and scrape the biggest part off on the edge of the curb. Then you would find a puddle, and you would swirl the bottom of your shoe around in the puddle. Then limp over to the grass and do the brush stroke back and forth. Then you would find a little bitty piece of stick and you would sit down on the curb and you would pick it out of the zigzag pattern on the bottom. Then you wore those shoes to church the next day. And nobody in that church knew you'd stepped in dog poop. See, when it comes to technology, my wife and I laugh about this because we're in our mid-50s and my wife says we are the bologna in the technology bologna sandwich. We're right in the middle because our parents can't text and our children can't write. My kids don't even think you need to study. They're like, Dad, if you want to know something, you just Google it. And to a point, they're right. I mean, when I was growing up, if you were watching TV and somebody said, what was that guy in? You'd go, well, he looks familiar. That was it. Now you're watching TV, somebody goes, what was that guy in? Somebody goes, he was the janitor on Joey. Of course he was. But I try to tell my kids, I said, yeah, there's a lot of stuff you can learn from Google. I said, but there's just as much stuff you can't learn from Google. You only learn it from life experience. You'll usually learn most of it the hard way. It's stuff that's not Googleable. I don't know if that's a word. But I call them the facts of life. It's stuff you can't Google. Like this, fact of life. If you are trying to get to the bathroom in an emergency situation, it is not a wise idea to unbutton your pants in transit trying to save a couple of seconds. Because the muscles that guard the floodgates will interpret the unbuttoning as the signal to abandon their post. And the 2 seconds you saved on the button are nullified by the hour and a half you spend mopping and doing laundry. You only learn that the hard way. Fact of life. If you are going to see a scary movie at the movie theater, it will be much more entertaining if you can find a seat directly behind a group of black women. Because not only will you get the scary movie, you will also get their running commentary of the scary movie. Oh, look at this. She running around in her panties like that. Girl, put some drawers on and put that hair up before he snatched that weave out your head. Now, can you see this girlfriend? She going back in the house. No, she going down to the basement. Girl, get your shit and get out there now. Fact of life, women always have more questions than men have answers to. Great example of this. 6, 7 months ago, I get a text one day. The text says, please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck. I walk into the kitchen where my wife is. I said, hey, I just got a text that said, please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck. She said, was he driving? I said, I don't know. I just got a text that said, please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck. Were Carol and the kids in the car with him? I don't know. I just got a text that said, please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck. Were the people in the other car hurt? I don't know. I just got a text that said, please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck. What hospital did they take him to? I don't know. I just got a text that said, please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck. She said, well, you don't know anything. What do you know? I know you need to pray for Tom. I just got a text that said he was in a bad wreck. That's all I got. I ain't holding anything back. That's it. People pointing at each other here.
Pretty good. Pretty good for clean comedy.
I remember that that clip. I've seen it so many times. I don't know.
That one?
That last clip right there where it's like his wife and him talking back. It's like that's men and women's communication. You know, men, how we communicate. It's like I always tell my wife, I'm like, oh yeah, we went to the restaurant or went to the bar. We had food. We had some drinks. We had fun. Like, oh, how are they doing? What do you mean? Yeah, we had a great time. No, like how's their girlfriend? How's this? I was like, oh, I don't know. I didn't ask that.
They come to get detail. We're conceptual. Yeah. They want detail.
We were watching the game. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. I used to say that when I used to do the show originally, when I was on News Talk originally.
Okay.
I said the entire show is about observation, right? And recognizing things that are going on, right? So and putting concepts to it. So these are your observations, and this is a conceptual reason for why it might be happening. Yeah. I'm not digging in like some people want me to cover things. I'm like, listen, I don't have the time. I'm doing a show every single day for 3 hours.
This isn't an investigative report.
I can't be. I don't have the time in my life to do it. That's why I said I'm looking at stories. I connect the dots to these stories, and then what I'm asking in my mind, I bring to the audience and say, what do you think about this? What is your take on it? And hopefully we can do it. I think if we revolutionize, I plan to revolutionize the way we communicate. That's really, if I'm being grandiose about what we're going to do, it is really to get people to listen to the show who might have violent disagreement with me, but somehow get into their subconscious to recognize that just because we disagree doesn't mean I'm an evil person. And just because you disagree with me doesn't mean you're an evil person. If we can't learn to speak to each other again, if we can't have conversations about things that are important in our world, then we are going to fracture and split in this country. Yeah. A house divided cannot stand. And that's where we're at in the country. We're at a situation where you can be listening to somebody that's on the radio or television or a podcast or somebody that agrees with you 95% of the time. And then they are adamant about something that you disagree with, and you're done with them. That's it. I want nothing to do with that person anymore. And I just think it's awful that we've gotten to this position. And again, I think this has a lot to do with Donald Trump. I don't remember it being like this before Donald Trump, and even Obama, if you want to go that far, right? It was Obama and then Trump where our discourse and our ability to have disagreement and see the world through a different lens began to change. It began to be, if you are not supportive of Donald Trump, then you're a traitor. And I think it's that way to many people to this day. Don't you, Isaiah? Don't you think that there's a segment of the population that says if you're not if you're not in lockstep with everything that Donald Trump says, if you don't recognize that he's the good guy in every particular situation, then you're a traitor to the country, and I don't really want to have anything to do with you. Oh my God, that kind of thing. And I just think that is crazy dangerous. Let me just play this very quickly because
I'll let everyone know because I'm getting a bunch of messages. YouTube went down. Pretty sure that Foxworthy is from Netflix. I'm pretty sure it's a Netflix special. So but we're back up. It just went back up. I put a message in there for everyone to come to Rumble or X, but we just went back up. It was just down for the Foxworthy.
Does that strike me when it does that? Like if I do that too many times, do they take me down?
It doesn't matter because the thing is that we're not trying to monetize that channel. And so they'll take it down for a period, but then they'll bring it back up because.
Well, how do you know which ones are? Because when we talked originally, one of the things we talked about was if there were clips off of YouTube or clips off of X or so forth, we'd be okay with it. So I'm trying to use that. How do I ever know? How do I ever know
what channel that came from?
That was off of YouTube. I just got it right off of YouTube.
There's they put stuff now in their disclaimer in the descriptions now, whether it's
they
copyright.
do.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can go in there and see if it's copyrighted because of that. But me and you were talking about it's like the law says that we're supposed to be able to commentate on stuff because we're political commentators.
Is there anybody that knows a good attorney?
Yeah.
I really would. I'd like to challenge that because what's happening here is the Fair Use Act. And a friend of mine, Adam, brought it up to me. He said, Rob, you're not doing a music show. You're doing political commentary and criticism. And the Fair Usage Act says that you can use copyrighted material so long as I'm not playing the entire song. If I just want to play a clip of the song or bumper music or this and that, I supposedly under the Fair Use Act, I'm supposed to be able to use it. Well, I am a political commentator. I am a critic of government. Therefore, I should be able to use it. But they don't ask you on any of these platforms. As soon as they hear it, it just takes you down. And again, under the law, they're not supposed to be able to do that. But they don't care about the law. You can't talk to anybody. You can't have a conversation with anybody. There's nothing you can do. And I would imagine that many commentators, many people in the public eye that talk about government would like to be able to play music. I'd like to be able to play music. I think radio stations are playing music. Why can't I? Why do they have an advantage over podcasters when it comes to music? Music does set the tone. It creates emotion. You can tell stories through music. What's the problem? I mean, I looked up the law. I read it. It's very clear. It says if you're a political commentator, if you're a critic, I think it even says, then you're supposed to be able to use music. And it does say that it has to be short bursts. You can't be playing music on your show all the time and entire songs and this kind of thing. But bumper music, I think, is what it's referring to. If I want to transition out of a segment and play some music that says, okay, now we're into a new segment, I should be able to do that. Why would the radio, right? People on the radio, why would they be able to have an advantage over independent journalists that are getting out news through old school means? Just
on X and Rumble, we can. It's just it depends on the platform, and I just see Donna. She actually just commented, you can on X and Rumble, yes. And that's the thing is that it depends on the platform that you're going to. Facebook and YouTube are always going to take us down,
but they shouldn't be able to. That's my point.
Exactly.
I think
I don't want to belabor the point, but it's just
frustrating.
Yeah,
I don't like it.
I wanted to say one thing before we transition from fully transition from Israel to Erica Kirk.
Okay.
Because I forgot I was going to talk about the Bible verse earlier that President Trump had read. So 2 Chronicles, which is in the Old Testament, and in chapter 7, he read chapter 7 verses 11 through 22. And so just to set the context, this is Solomon has just built the temple. It's David's son, Solomon. He just built the temple. Fire had come down from heaven. God's spirit just filled the temple, which is what it says. It says that in the Holy of Holies, that's where God's spirit is. That's why when Jesus died, the veil was split and the spirit came out and was available to everyone. But in Judaism, back in these times, only the high priest could go in and commune with God behind the Holy of Holies. And so this is the moment God's spirit comes down, dwells in the temple. They're dedicating the temple. And so this whole passage, it says, this is the summary that I put together. It says, this passage is God's covenant response to the temple's dedication. It highlights conditional blessings based on humility, prayer, repentance, and obedience, while warning of judgment for idolatry and unfaithfulness. And there's a popular verse here that everyone's going to know once I read it here. It says, if my people who are called by my name humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and heal their land. And so I just found it interesting that they chose that specific verse, the dedication of the temple, and talking
they did.
about.
So you're confirmed that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I confirmed it. Yeah. 100%. That's the verses he read. That's why I was like, no, I know that passage.
Okay. I want to get that for next week. So whatever he read, I'd like to see what Donald Trump was reading that applies to the Bible. Cause I am very curious about this and it's not going to lose sleep over it. I don't think all Jewish people have evil intent. None of that.
No.
But I do think deception, and it does seem like we're ruling through deception right now. We're ruling through deceiving our own citizens. We're telling them one thing and doing another, and then I'm supposed to fall in lockstep because the person in charge is doing wonderful things. He's working on my behalf. He loves America, and this and that and the other. Again, I just continue to say I think that's a dangerous place to be in. I mean it sincerely. We cannot turn our government over to kings and queens who always think they have a better judgment than the American people. This is a government of by and for the people. If Donald Trump wants to go to war in Iran, he's got to come get our approval. He just has to do that. You cannot let your leaders take you into war so they can keep a war machine running and then tell you it's because they're terrorists that are trying to kill you. That cannot continue on. How long should we go through that? All the way back to the Vietnam War and the Gulf of Tonkin is just one problem, reaction, solution after another. And I'm tired of it. I'm just exhausted from it. I've watched it too many times now that I go back and just look through history. And now that I understand the world just a little bit better through observation, you can have anybody, if you can print money, you can build an organization anywhere on this planet. If they have to take the dollar, then you can create organizations anywhere in the planet. There's just nowhere that you can't go. You have a global reach to create problems that then America has to come solve. That's simple. All right, now.
We're the world police,
Team America. That's right. Did you ever see that?
Yes.
It's very rated R with puppets, but it is very interesting. The music in there is kind of crazy. All right, let's get to, there's two that I want to get to, and then we'll call it a day. Next week, I want to talk about Noah's Ark, but I want to spend a little bit of time with that with you. So we'll get to the Noah's Ark thing next week. Ron DeSantis, just a couple things that we had on the schedule today. Ron DeSantis is now pushing for no property tax in the state of Florida. When I was watching the Missouri income tax / sales tax / usage tax / BS tax, what I noticed was a lot of people are saying, wait a minute, property taxes, get rid of the property. I want to be able to own my property. Forget the income taxes. Give me my property taxes removed. But property taxes are unconstitutional, shouldn't have them. Well, Ron DeSantis is now selling that in Florida. And apparently it's going to be on the ballot. And like I said, if it passes, that the Florida elections are flawed as well, because there's nobody in the state of Florida that wants to pay property taxes. They've risen. People are concerned about it. I know it's caught into our pocket, or took a chunk out of our pocketbook down here in Florida. If that gets on the ballot, which according to Ron DeSantis, it's going to, then it'll be voted down. People do not want to pay property taxes. You find however way you need to tax me, but taxing me on things that I already own, like personal property tax in the state of Missouri, is my favorite. Though you talk about a scam job, holy cow! The Missouri personal property tax is just insane.
I'm responsible. I own 2 vehicles that I have no car payment on, but I still have to pay the government.
Exactly. My dad owns his car outright, and he pays $500 a month to the government to let him drive his car. It's insane. It's not a free country when you have to do those kind of. You can't own property. I mean, good Lord. All right, and then there's a clip out there, and I'll bring Helen Gelhot in, or Gelhot in to talk about it, because it's basically saying that doctors are being fired if they find out their cancer patients are taking fenbendazole and ivermectin. So they're basically, I would assume it's the insurance companies. I didn't get the gist of it. I wanted to play it for you, but this guy comes out and says these hospital administrations and insurance companies are basically firing their own patients if their patients are not using medicines that are protocol by the insurance companies, which is the government nowadays. Which is the government.
That's my wife's big beef with the insurance companies, is that they dictate your care, not the doctor, not the patient, right? Who wants to explore the best care for themselves. No, the insurance dictates your care. And if you don't follow their rules and you don't do exactly the path that they say you need to do, then they're not going to pay for it. And
bingo,
just had something with like an MRI situation with the patient. It's like, oh, well, you didn't go and do this, this, and this. And so now we're not going to pay for it. And my wife's helping her out. It's crazy.
Well, it's insane. It should be illegal. Again, they've turned our country into a fraud scheme, a tax fraud scheme. And it's, again, remember, they tell you they're going to do it and then you do it. Obamacare, perfect example. Obamacare. one of the main reasons I'm doing what I'm doing, just very quickly, Isaiah, I don't know if I've told you this story before. I had just become the president of a publicly traded company. I had no business being the president, right? I was a kind of a sales leader. I was able to do a good job, and I ultimately ended up working really well for me because I had contacts, because I worked for Clark's Shoe Company, which was a huge shoe company by the time I left, and Skechers, which was a mammoth shoe company by the time I left. So I knew a lot of people in the shoe business. Now you have this really small publicly traded company that was doing like $16 million worth of business, who wanted me to come in and run their operations for them. And the owner said, Rob, it was when Obamacare was coming down the line. And he said, Rob, should we switch over to Obamacare? You know, we're struggling to keep the lights on here. Should we turn this over to Obamacare, or should we continue to provide services and insurance for our employees? And I certainly didn't. I just started. I'd probably been at work maybe 3, 4, 5 months when that happened. And I was thinking to myself, well, I don't want to go tell the employees that we're taking their insurance away from them. They're already freaking out because we missed payroll, I think, the first week that I was there. So in my mind, I'm like, I don't want to tell them to my first inclination was I don't want to alienate the salespeople that work for me already, right? And the people in the office, the whole thing. But I said, well, let me look into it. And I'm watching on C-SPAN one day. So in my office, I had a big screen television in the office, and I would always turn on either C-SPAN or Fox News. I was a news junkie. So I had C-SPAN on one day, and the headline said, committee on the ACA, testimony from some committee on the ACA or what have you. And I said, oh, sweet. I can figure this out, and I can give them a legitimate answer, because I'm going to study their answers to how this is going to affect the employer, how it's going to affect the citizens, how much it's going to cost versus if you carry insurance. All of that was going to be discussed. I'm like, perfect. Here we go. I'm going to get a one-stop shop. I'm going to learn everything. So for hours, 4, 5, 6, 8 hours, however long they were in this committee meeting, I'm taking notes. It was back when they first came out. I remember it because you could reverse your TV. It was one of the, at the very beginning, back in those days, you couldn't reverse your TV and do all that kind of stuff. It was at the very beginning when you could reverse your TV and see something for a second time. So I'm taking notes. I got this whole thing down. I've got it in my head what I'm going to tell the CEO of the company, basically the owner of the company that I work for. Go to have dinner later on that night, and on CNN, they tease that they're going to bring information that came out of this committee. They come back from break, and I can't really remember it because the concept struck me, but the people involved didn't really, I just don't remember. But they came back, and whoever the host was had 3 panel members on, Isaiah, and they all lied about what was being told. And the whole thing. So the host was lying.
You just watched it and you knew.
I just watched it and took notes on it all day long, like a college student.
Yeah.
All 3 panel members were lying. So what I realized right then and there that the news was a scripted propaganda outfit. They were trying to sell, from the left, they were trying to sell Obamacare. What is CNN? CNN is an offshoot of the federal government. So is Fox News. Now, they might not be tied together in terms of a contract, but there's a wink and a nod. That's why everybody that leaves the Republican Party, all the press secretaries, they come work for Fox News.
Fox News.
All the Democrats. Remember Elliot Spitzer? Elliot Spitzer got busted for having sex across state lines and using state money with a prostitute, and then he goes to work at CNN right after that. Can't make it up.
Nope. But the government news network.
The government news network. But it started to dawn on me that all this time I'm thinking I'm getting news. I was really getting a political platform for these people to sell ideas. And at the time, CNN was selling the wonders of the ACA/Obamacare. But I'm telling you, the host and the 3 panel members were talking about what it was going to mean for employers, what it was going to mean for consumers, and everything that they said was a misrepresentation of what I had just watched. It was all a complete and total lie. And then you know who else I saw do that? Sean Hannity.
Huh.
I can't remember Sean Hannity's, but I remember because I was a big Sean Hannity fan back in those days. You got to remember, I'm watching Fox News every day. It was Bill O'Reilly, then it was Sean Hannity, and then I forget who was on in the 9 o'clock hour back in those days. But I watched Fox News the entire day, right? And then I saw Sean Hannity do it, and I'm like, they all do this. This is how they roll. They're just trying to confuse the situation and then sell something to their viewers for whoever is writing the script for them. Is what I started gathering. It kind of blew my mind. All right, let's get into so the other things I want to talk about next week. If you did not see the clip of Ro Khanna, I don't want to run late today. We'll maybe just a little bit over. Ro Khanna is making the argument on the House floor that it's going to take a convention of states to get money out of politics. And he's begging people. He's saying, listen, if we don't get money out of politics, we're screwed. And I agree with him. So Ro Khanna, a Democrat, is making the argument that we have to get money, all this big PAC money out of our politics. And I think we should pay attention to what he has to say. Nick Fuentes, We talked about how big his audience is. Nick Fuentes is out now, and I think he's been doing this for quite some time, and he's incredibly articulate. One of the clips I sent to Isaiah said, "Man, this kid, you got to in 5-minute clips, he can really do some damage." And he basically gave his entire reasoning for not voting for Republicans in the midterms. He said, "I'm not voting for JD Vance. I'm not giving these people that lied to my face," because you got to remember, Donald Trump's on the opposite side of the issues. Now, you may trust him, but he is on the opposite side of the issues that he sold to us. He's saying, "I'm not giving these guys not another vote. I'm telling everybody that watches my show, everybody, to either not vote or vote Democrat if JD Vance or Marco Rubio is on the ticket in 2028. That's what he said. He said, I'm done with them. They're not getting another vote for me. I'm not cheerleading for them anymore. I'm sick of it, and I'm not having anything to do with it." And he used a couple of other choice words. But again, it's not whether you agree or disagree with Nick Fuentes. What you should understand is Nick Fuentes is speaking to millions and millions and millions of young people around this country. They are completely attached to his message. Would you agree with that, Isaiah? You know, my son knows, all of his friends know. He is dictating the thought process of millions of young Americans under the age of 35, let's say. They're really hanging on every word.
Just go watch James Fishback's event last night at the University of Central Florida in Orlando. Huge room full of people, and you see blue hats everywhere.
Exactly. Well, you want to do? Let's play it because this is a quick. It's clip number 23. Let's just play a little bit of Nick Fuentes. I don't think there's any cursing.
Oh yeah, this one's I think a little.
It's only like a minute long, so just to give you an idea of what he's saying. Now, this isn't the clip that I'm talking about. That was a 5-minute clip. But listen to Nick Fuentes and how he is articulating his positions to his audience. And again, you don't have to like him. I'm not saying that I love Nick Fuentes. I'm not even sure he's on the side of righteousness. I have no idea. I'm just saying he is incredibly influential on the young people, young conservatives in our society. Go ahead.
This has to be the breaking point. This is the breaking point for the GOP coalition. You buried the Epstein files. There is no border wall. You didn't deliver on mass deportations. You cut corporate tax rates for the rich by cutting Medicaid again. No infrastructure bill, no middle class tax cuts. You got to refund the tariffs. And now we're in a regime change war with Iran. That's the breaking point. I'm out. I'm done. I am off the Trump train. I am not voting in 26. If Rubio or Vance are on the ticket in any form in 28, I'm voting for a Democrat. Say whatever you want. Do your worst. Hey,
there you go.
Say whatever you want. Do your worst, right? It's so true.
It's only scary because, again, I think it's a one government system. But if the Democrats take over, culturally is where I think you're going to get hurt. I think financially, it might even get better financially for this country.
I know, seriously.
Because they have to bring it back just a little bit from where it's at if they want to continue on with their shenanigans. But culturally, they're going to continue to sell our culture down the river. And if you're somebody who just thinks that, it shouldn't be just do whatever you want all the time and everything's going to be fine, do drugs, have orgies, have your kids pooping in litter boxes at school. If you're into all that kind of thing, it's only going to expand if the society that we're in believes that the Democrats have won the day. We believe in their cultural direction. That's what I'm worried about. Other than that,
do you know why he wants the Democrats to win if Vance or Rubio is on the ticket?
Why?
Is because he knows that if the Democrats will win, that will be kind of a blow to the Republicans to say, hey, we do have to get back to 2016, the 2016 Trump type of person in the GOP, or else we're going to keep losing to the Democrats because we're losing the younger base now.
I'm not so sure that's a bad argument, to be honest with you, because I'm fed up with the Republican Party. I'm there with him. I understand it. I don't like pretty much anything that they do ever. And I certainly don't like the way they communicate with people. I don't like the way that they work in the dark. I don't like that everything is about corporate interests. I just don't like any of that stuff. I'm anti everything that they're preaching right now. And I don't consider myself a Democrat. I consider myself a small government conservative.
Yeah.
With libertarian leanings. I'm not somebody who is, when I have, like I said before, I have a lot of gay friends. I was in the fashion business for 35 years. I have a lot of friends that of mine that were gay and were so wonderful and welcoming to me, helped promote me, did great things for me. And I could never say anything negative against them. Their lifestyle is between them and the Lord. It's a free country. Okay. Do I agree with it? No. And I would tell them that. They hear me right now. I'm sure there's at least a couple that are watching the show now. You do your thing. Right? As between you and the Lord. I'm not judgmental. I'm supposed to love you and let God hash it out. Okay. And I hope that someday you'll come to my way of thinking. But in the meantime, so long as you're not trying to hurt anybody, so long as you're being a decent person, I'm okay with you. Politically, I'm okay with you. Okay.
Yeah.
Two more things. I do want to get to this. This is the Young Turks. What's the guy's name? Cenk Uygur?
Yes, it's so hard to say. Cenk Uygur, I think, is how you say it, or something like that.
I used to. There was a time when I couldn't stand this guy, and now he's starting to make a little bit of sense to me.
Yeah.
But he's on the show with Young Turks with this Anna Kasparian, I think is her name, and they are very anti-Israel policy. All right, they're very anti-Israel policy. But they were doing a show the other day saying,
they're Turkish. Yeah, they're super Muslim.
Yeah, exactly. And they are talking about, is Donald Trump's assassination attempt in Butler, Pennsylvania, was it all theatrics? And I want people to look at it. If you haven't seen this, I think everybody watching this show has seen these videos before, but what is your take when they draw the camera people in? And what is your take on the way Donald Trump behaved that day? I know he's John Wayne and he's Superman and all this, but if somebody takes a shot and it clips my ear and I'm hearing gun, when you shoot a rifle from that close, boom! I mean, you're gonna, it's scary. You got somebody behind you that's dying. He's been shot in the chest. You think, oh, baby, God, we got somebody shot over here, and everybody's freaking out. But there's not a lot of freak out from the people surrounding Donald Trump. And then the people that are supposed to be protecting him, the Secret Service, it looks like the Keystone Cops. And what's even more interesting about it is the way this person is, as they describe it here, drives these people in to take the picture of Donald Trump. It looks to me like, well, I'll let you decide. I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to give people, but it is clip number 10. This is the Young Turks talking about, was Butler, Pennsylvania staged? Check it out.
Okay, so this is the shoot. Now you see that guy on that just crossed your screen on the lower level. He crosses after the shooting. He's not panicking and running away. He was very calm earlier in the video. This is a long video, and he went to go get something. Now oh, look at that. He went to go get photographers. There he is again. You see, crouching down, and he's shepherding the photographers. And now you're about to see a second person that'll also come in to shepherd the photographers for just the right shot. So as soon as what happened was like the shooting happened, he was just the calmest man. And there he is, look. And here comes another woman now. Bring the photographers here. We need the exact picture. And it looks incredibly choreographed. Okay, but how do they know to choreograph it? In the middle of a shooting.
Wow.
I think those are legitimate conversations, right? 'Cause when I see that, and that's not even the best angle.
No.
There's an angle where you see kind of the press is off to one side, and within just 60 seconds of the shooting, you don't know if there's other shooters. Nobody in the crowd could possibly know what is going on, right? And by the way, in that particular assassination, there's a guy, I don't know his name, somebody might know it, but there's a guy that kept showing up in all of the videos. Q talked about him. He's got this hat on. He's sitting right dead square in the middle behind Donald Trump, and it's almost like they're trying to show this guy off as he's almost like symbolic of a ruse that is happening. And they used to say it was John F. Kennedy Jr. Everybody started saying, is that John F. Kennedy Jr.? It looks like John F. Kennedy Jr. because he kept showing up in all of these videos. And it's just seemed very odd to people. Well, on the day of the shooting, and I haven't seen him since, but on the day of the shooting, I got to find that video. See if you can find the assassination of Donald Trump, and I'll point him out. Let's do that. We'll take just a couple minutes here because I want to explain this very quickly. And people that followed Q back in the day, you might remember this guy's name, but he's standing right behind Donald Trump in the assassination attempt at Butler, Pennsylvania. And when I saw that, I went, what in the world is going on? First of all, it looks staged to me. It just looks staged. I'm not saying it is, but it looks staged to me. The idea that within 60 seconds of an assassination attempt of the president of the United States, you have this guy waving everybody in to take a picture of Donald Trump where the flag's behind him. He's got his arm in the air and the blood running down his face. That picture, that painting is in the radio station that I was working at. That was symbolic to many, many, many millions of people around the world that Donald Trump was the hero. And then right after that, we go to the RNC convention. The timing was absolutely perfect. And then you got to go with the sequence of events. You have a guy that was in a BlackRock commercial who was able to foil everybody in the Secret Service, climb up onto a shed. How do you get a ladder there? How do you know a ladder is going to be there? How could any of that happen without some coordination? Gets on top of the shed. Apparently, the Secret Service had their guns on him and knew that he was pointing a rifle at the president of the United States. And that Vincent, that's the guy's name. Vincent, if somebody, Tom, if you know his last name, this is the guy that was sitting in the crowd. Sorry, squirrel got me. But the sequence of events were all very bizarre. They're still bizarre to this day. Donald Trump is not trying to get answers to what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania. That's even more bizarre to me. I think if my Secret Service was so inept that somebody could climb on top of a shed and sit there for a minute and a half and aim a rifle at my head, I'd be a little upset with Secret Service. Would you accept that at least as an argument, Isaiah, that you'd be?
Yeah. Are you kidding me?
I'd be very upset with Secret Service. I don't know that I would trust them ever again. In fact, I would have my own people. I would rather have my kids out there with guns than having people that are trying to get me set up to be killed, because you got to remember, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. now believes that it was the Secret Service that killed his father, Robert F. Kennedy, back in 1968 at the hotel in Los Angeles. Okay, here's the guy right here.
That
guy with the hat on, right? So this guy right here is in multiple different videos. And it was a lot of people back in the day. This was in Donald Trump in 2016, that administration, when Q was relatively popular in the lead up to the 2016 elections. This guy kept popping up everywhere. And people that were following the conspiracy conversations and this and that and the other would always say they thought that he was in a disguise, but it was, this is crazy talk in my opinion, but this is what was going on at the time. They believed that it was John F. Kennedy Jr., because him and Donald Trump were supposedly friends. Now we're going to have a big takeover. Everybody's going to learn about the assassination attempts, all the things that had happened since the assassination of John F. Kennedy, and all that was going to come to fruition under Donald Trump. I got into that belief at one point because Donald Trump did release a bunch of JFK information, even the clip of JFK to the press club. That came out in under Donald Trump in 2017. It was the first I'd ever heard it. First anybody had heard of it. But this particular person right there with his hands around his mouth, if you're watching it on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, or X, this is the guy that was a part of all of the conspiracy theories leading up to Donald Trump's election in 2016. And then the one assassination attempt out in front of all of the people, he is dead center behind Donald Trump. Dead center. Right there. Isaiah?
Yeah, it's also crazy to me that these people look at this lady. She's got her phone out. They got their phone out there. It's just, I don't know about you, but I like to compare this to the Charlie Kirk shooting. What happened when Charlie Kirk got shot? What did all the students do?
They went down in a hustle and freaked out and started running.
Exactly.
Because that appeared to be real. A lot of people didn't think that was real either, but the way he reacted, that was real.
Yeah.
Right. Just the look on his face, the way the shirt blew up, something happened to Charlie Kirk.
Yep.
In this particular instance, I'm not saying something didn't happen to Donald Trump. I don't want to go that far. But with all of the theater that's going on, and like I said, you can start war through deception. There's a lot of deception going on in our country. If Donald Trump wasn't saying one thing and doing another, I wouldn't doubt this for a second. But now I'm starting to doubt what's going on. And you remember what came out after that? Iran was trying to assassinate Donald Trump. Does everybody remember? They were floating Iran was trying to assassinate Donald Trump.
Yep.
I don't know. But anyway, I think that whole thing is very interesting. Where are people on that? Have we forgotten that? Is that something that you still question, felt a little staged to you? Remember Donald Trump came to the RNC convention. He had the big thing over his ear and everybody wanted to see it. And Joe Rogan asked him to see it. It was kind of this kind of weird angle and he couldn't really figure out what was going on with his ear.
People seem to be split. Some people are saying it seems scripted, seems staged. Some people are saying that, they doubt that he would let himself get shot for a photo op.
Well, I don't think he got shot. That would be the point.
Yeah. I think that would be the point.
Does nobody know about
someone did die. That's the hard part for me to believe that something didn't happen is that someone did die.
Something happened.
Yeah.
That's what Trish Hope said. Even the family of the person that died, that firefighter that died, is saying, hey, what's going on with the story? What is happening here? There is no way that this kid was able to get a sniper's position on the president of the United States on a shed with everybody going, there's a guy on the shed. There's a guy on the shed. Yeah. How do you even get on the shed? How does he get a letter there? Or how would he even know that a letter was going to be available to him to take this? And how do you get a weapon? How do you carry around a rifle to take a shot at the president of the United States from that close? I've been to some of his events. They are not very well secured, I must admit. I said that about when I went to Valdosta, Georgia. It was not very secure. But I don't think I could have climbed up on top of a shed and took aim at the president of the United States without some pushback. Because there was no pushback until he took the shots. Now let's get to Erica Kirk. Okay. I just want to play this and then we'll end the day. Erica Kirk, to me, and it's been this way from the very beginning. I did not like talking about it when I was at Real Talk Radio, primarily because they had a show on our station, number one. And then number two, it just felt like it was, I brought it up to my father and he got very upset with me. He said, I could tell he just is temperaturized. I'm like, you're probably right. I probably should not even bring this up because even though it is A lot of people are talking about it, and it just feels like something's very weird to me. Her husband just died, public execution. Probably not the right time to bring this up and have a conversation about it. So I just skipped it and said, let it go. But subsequent to that, over the course of the last 8 months, I've been watching her. I'm glued to her when she speaks. There is some kind of magnetism that she has, but it's a magnetism of phoniness to me when I watch her, and the eyes all over the place, and the leather pants, and the
pyrotechnics,
the pyrotechnics, and the like she's coming out to a concert kind of vibe to me, has just rubbed me the wrong way. And I don't buy in to what Erica Kirk is selling. And that doesn't mean that she was involved in some kind of scheme, but it could mean that she wasn't really having this great relationship with her husband, like she said. You know what I mean? I promise you, when my ex-wife and I got divorced, if somebody would have shot me, she would have been, she might have thrown a party as well with the pyrotech, right? I'm serious. But we were married at the time. She could have played the victim, or she could have played, let's get Robb's insurance money and let's have a good time. Right. But it looks to me like Erica Kirk is not really all that upset about this situation, although she tries to act as though she is. And it feels like acting to me. I can't help it. I can't help it. I apologize to people that offends, but something ain't right with Erica Kirk. Check it out.
Well,
this is her.
I mean, if it offends you, people that were the original defenders of her are also saying something's weird. They're not saying that she's some operative and she's working with Israel
and I'm not saying
killed. That's not what we're saying, and that's not what these people are saying either. They're just saying, man, something's weird, something's not right. You got people being fired for asking questions from Turning Point. That happened right after Charlie was killed. You remember that?
Charlie Kirk did not want to go to war with Iran. He made that very clear over and over and over and over and over again. And now Turning Point USA is turning a blind eye to those conversations. In fact, putting out videos of him from way back in the past where he was pro-Israel with everything. And that's what they're playing. But he went months of saying that he did not want war with Israel. In fact, went so far as to meet with President Trump to not have war with Iran. I keep saying Israel, war with Iran. Right?
Yeah.
So Lisa Jones said divorce is difficult. Oh, yes, it is.
It is. Yes.
My wife, I guarantee you, has some kind of those little voodoo dolls with a knife.
Yep.
And it's been 10 or 11 years. Some people just,
Yeah. And Christina here is saying that it's wrong to judge someone how they deal with it when they bury a spouse. I don't think that's what we're judging. That's
I'm not judging that either.
That's not what we're saying.
Let me clarify. She seems to, here's what's happened subsequent to Charlie Kirk's death. Okay. And I am judging her a little bit. I guess that's fair criticism of me. I am judging her not showing emotion. Even I don't see much emotion out of her at all. Okay, that's just I'll just bring that up. And maybe I am an emotional guy, and maybe I would react different, and everybody reacts different to tragedy. I got that, and I understand that completely. Her eye movement, her mannerisms, the way she kind of took over Charlie Kirk's organization immediately after he died and became the face of it. Feels very disingenuous to me, and I'm watching a lot of her. So
it's suspicious. I think that's what all we're saying is it's suspicious,
right? And then you got to realize that she was in the Trump administration. She worked with Trump on Miss USA. She was in that. She ties back to Donald Trump. She was running an orphanage in Romania. That, by all reports, and these are global reports, so who knows? But the global reports say that Romania was having a problem with child trafficking and shut down the orphanage in Romania. Right. So this is her background. Her father worked for a contractor in Israel, an offshoot of Raytheon. Her mother was in the Defense Department, basically. So she has a lot of ties to power. And then all of a sudden, if you listen to the story that she and Charlie Kirk tell about their meeting, she comes in looking for a job. Charlie Kirk asks her on a date.
Yep.
Right. So, it almost feels like she was put in his path, maybe for a reason. And there might have been 25 girls that were put into his path because power doesn't act like
people thought that before he died. People thought that there was already organized marriage. It wasn't that after he died. This is a theory that came out. That was before he passed away. They thought it was an organized marriage.
Right. Right.
So that's my point to Christina, is that we're not saying, oh, she's not grieving the right way. That's not what we're saying. And that's what a lot of people say is like, who are you to judge how she grieves?
I think that's
I don't think we're judging the grieving process. I think we're saying there's all these facts. These are facts that the orphanage got shut down in Romania for an organization she was connected with. They're representing
for trafficking kids.
For trafficking kids, right? Yeah. So if you just look at these facts that are just laid out, these are not opinion situations, right? These are just the facts. That's what's raising the questions for me, and I think for you, and for a lot of people that supported turning point.
Correct.
In the days of Charlie.
And then I want to play this clip of her because this is the last thing we'll do for the day. As we're reading through the advertisers, just let me know whether you feel when you watch her whether it's authentic or not. Does it feel a little bit? It feels like very bad acting to me. It just has from the very beginning.
Performative is a good word, right?
Performative, yeah, performative. Feels like bad acting. It just doesn't feel authentic to me at all. It feels like you're playing a role, and am I playing this role well? How did I do today, guys? That's the way it feels to me when she takes the stage. But I'll let you guys determine for yourself. Just does it feel authentic to you, or does it feel a little bit like bad acting? Check it out. This is Erica Kirk last night. Where was she at? Do you know?
In our
I can't remember off the top of my head. No.
All right, check her out.
kitchen area. I got the kids to bed, and I was eating cereal. It was like 10 o'clock at night. That's a mom dinner, cereal at 10 p.m. And I was like basically standing there in the dark. And I looked over to the side of the wall. And when we first moved into that, we live in a small condo. When we first moved in there, Charlie and I put the Bible verse of James chapter 1, verses 2 through 4 alongside of it. And I stood there and I looked at it, and I was like, milk and cereal in my mouth, and I was like, count it all joy. And I just stood there. Count it all joy. Being persecuted and lied about, count it all joy. You're being slandered, count it all joy. You're being lied about, count it all joy. Your church is being persecuted, count it all joy. There's graffiti all over it now, count it all joy. You have people coming in and out of your congregation, count it all joy. Count it all joy.
Interesting.
I don't know. Count it all joy. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say about it. I know a lot of people are talking about it. I know that Candace Owens is all over it. She's had some run-ins with Eric Kirk. And, when people start leaving your organization, which is what's happening, a lot of people are leaving the organization and talking about Erica Kirk in not so good light.
Yep.
It does make you wonder. That's all I'm saying. And her, just like I said, it's just my take on things. It's just a gut feeling that you get, and you can't always go with gut feelings. I certainly don't want to say that she was involved in anything at all. I don't mean to say that. I know Candace Owens kind of makes it.
I know she tries to connect these dots and
right. And I always say sometimes when you give people 90% of the truth and then you sprinkle in 10% of BS, it ruins all of it and makes everybody think you're crazy. And I think that's kind of where Candace Owens is at when I watch Candace Owens. And I don't watch her every night by any stretch of the imagination, but I do pay attention to what she has to say on occasion to see how, what her audience is thinking. But for some reason, Erica Kirk does not seem authentic to me at all. It just does. That's my vibe.
Yeah.
Let's get to the advertisers today. Be curious to see if anybody agrees or disagrees. We'll see. A lot of people don't like to talk about that, Isaiah.
I know. Yeah. It's hard because
it feels like you're an a-hole.
Yeah. And I think people assume that we're judging how she's grieving. And she can grieve how, I don't think that everyone grieves.
I'm more the takeover. I'm talking about the taking over Turning Point USA and becoming the public face of the organization.
Firing people for questioning what's going on, firing people for questioning the suspicious circumstances of Charlie's death, and then questioning, hey, no, this is the direction we were going with Charlie, and now we're going in the complete opposite direction. What's going on here? Fired. And then people finally that didn't get fired are leaving the organization. So
yeah, it's almost like if you were to go back in time, you would look at Erica Kirk and you'd look at Charlie Kirk, and maybe they had different opinions in the spiritual realm, right? They just had differences of opinion. And the way Charlie Kirk was taking it ended the day he was assassinated. Then the wife takes over and takes it in a direction that she wants to go. And maybe it's as simple as that, but it doesn't feel like it's moving in the same direction as when Charlie had it. She's certainly not as charismatic, but not many people are. Charlie had whatever the it factor is. Charlie had it.
Very smart guy. Very smart guy.
Who we start with?
Let's start with Rick Babitz today.
Ricky B. He was just texting me earlier. So Rick Babitz is around. He's on vacation. You better be listening, Rick. I need to go. What's going on with you? My man, Rick Babitz, again, doing a great job for our family. If you are somebody nearing retirement, if you need to grow money, if you need to protect money, like I said, you got to give Rick Babitz a shout out. 314-671-0525. YourCaringAdvisor.com. I say it every day. I say this every day too, by the way. I got to get out of that habit. But he is someone who understands all the things that you need to understand in order to predict where markets are going. He's been great with us. He's called us twice and told us what to do with our money. The one time I didn't call him, it cost us about $10,000. Subsequent to that, I think he's made us a chunk of money. He's really done an incredible job for us. Like I said, my wife is very, very happy with Rick Babbitt's. 314-671-0525. Financial planning expert, biblical principles with your money. As he likes to say, the reality is that investors are dying to have a new experience. The dominance of big brokerage firms and wirehouses has given even above average investors the impression that there is no alternative, that their choices are limited, and that switching to another advisor or firm wouldn't make much difference in the outcome. Carrington Financial offers investors the alternative approach they have been seeking. Rick Babbitt's Carrington Financial, 314-671-0525. If you want some consultation on your money, get a second, get a third, get a fourth, get a fifth opinion. Doesn't matter to me, but get Rick Babbitt's opinion. 314-671-0525.
RocketCareers.com.
Rocket, baby. Guitar, drums. You know that one? That's Def Leppard. Def Leppard. Your wife would be on that one too because I said leopard and it's leopard. That's another one. Put that in a blooper reel. RocketCareers.com for all of the medium to small businesses out there who do not have an HR department, or the HR department just isn't getting the job done. Check out RocketCareers.com. Give them a call at 636-778-2419. They basically prep candidates to do business with you. They'll find the right person to fill the right position. They do all the legwork. They'll take care of you. If you're a business, more importantly, if you just cannot find good help, and I got to tell you, I was talking to Mitch the other day. He said, you know what? There's a lot of jobs open, but people they're not taking some of these jobs. And he goes, there's good jobs out there if people just would call and find out. You could change your life by changing your career. Launch a new career with RocketCareers.com. 636-778-2419. 636-778-2419. And again, if you're out of work, if you hate your job, if you're sitting in a cubicle right now and feel like the world is not on your side, and maybe launching a new career might make you happier, just give them a call. Let them lead you through the process. RocketCareers.com. They'll give you the elevator pitch. They'll fix up your resume for you, and they'll connect you to their network from coast to coast of employers that are looking for good people. 636-778-2419, or you can check out their website, Rocket, ROCKIT, careers.com.
Valvoline Express Care.
Time for an oil change. As Tony Clark likes to tell me, the weekends is when everybody gets their oil changed. He goes, I don't know why. He goes, but the weekends is where it's at. Valvoline-Express Care. If you want to check out, they might have some coupons on there. On their website, you can find out where their locations are. But if you're getting an oil change and don't have that sticker, get that sticker. I want to see, when I see your car, I want that Valvoline Express Care sticker on there. They have locations in Warrenton, Missouri, Cape Girardeau, Missouri, St. Peters Parkway, Mid Rivers Mall Drive, Troy, Illinois, and Lee Ferry Road. As he likes to say, 15 minutes from Bay to on your way. No sales pressure, no appointments, no nonsense. All Valvoline branded products. Valvoline Express Care. When it's time for an oil change, Valvoline Express Care and our good friend Tony Clark. One more time with the locations. If you're listening and it's time for an oil change, you're driving around and you got your phone hooked up to your speakers, you can do that by the way, everybody. I got to tell the older crowd, because I'm not very good at it either, but you can listen on your radio just by hooking your Bluetooth up to your phone. And then if you're a radio listener, it's very simple. It takes 2 seconds to do. Don't forget.
Rumble lets you listen too without having to watch. You can close your phone on Rumble and still listen to the audio.
Correct. And everybody should get the Rumble app from their iPhone or Android, whatever you got going on. Locations for Valvoline Express Care: Warrenton, Cape Girardeau, St. Peters Parkway, Mid Rivers Mall Drive, Troy, Illinois, and Lee Ferry Road.
Next, we got, let's see here, Moe's Restaurant.
My man, Mike Johns, Moe's Restaurant. If it's time for lunch and you're out in the Washington area, that does sound good. I've got to quit eating because now I'm going to get pizza. I can't get Moe's because I'm in Florida today, but pizza sounds really good. We got a pizza parlor up the street. It's fantastic. Nothing better than Moe's, though. Family environment, delicious pizza, salad bar, delicious sandwiches too. I haven't had them, but I could see it. You know what I mean? I was watching this guy eat this chicken sandwich, and every time I was looking at it, I'm like, man, they do have some serious sandwiches here. Big, thick piece of chicken in there. It just looked absolutely fantastic. Best ice cream you've ever had. Chicken wings and a family environment. If you have any kind of get together and you're in the Washington, Missouri area, birthday parties, anniversaries, political meetings, Bible studies. They'll take care of you. It'll feel like family. It's old school. If you're one of those people that just wants to be in an old school business, someplace you're going to eat lunch every now and again, if you're in the area, you can eat there every day. But I'm just saying, put that on your schedule to take care of Moe's Pizza in Washington, Missouri, at the corner of Grand and 5th Street. It's a landmark in Washington, Missouri. There they are, the beautiful Mike Johns and his lovely wife, Brenda. Get out to Washington, Missouri. As he likes to say, God owns the place. He just works there. Moe's Pizza. When it's time for lunch, get there.
GraceHauling.com.
GraceHauling.com. GraceHauling.com. GraceHauling.com. My man, Gary Schneider. Outstanding customer service. Another, when you ask people what you want to say about their business, you can kind of tell the old school people, my kind of people. Outstanding customer service. First thing that he said, competitive pricing. How many times have we tried to get customer service? I was trying to make an appointment yesterday for the dermatologist. 40 minutes for somebody to talk to.
Oh my gosh.
40 minutes. 20 minutes I was on hold, and then it hung up on me. And then when I called back, it was another 20 minutes before I finally got somebody in line. 40 minutes to make a dermatology appointment. It's just the craziest thing in the world. Outstanding customer service. GraceHauling.com. 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 Competitive pricing. If you're a commercial business, always remember 2, 4, 6, and 8-yard dumpsters established in 1998. Great business, great people. And as he likes to say, but for the grace of God, I would not have such a thriving business. Supporters of me, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate it, my man, Gary Schneider. If you're a residential customer, trash, recyclables, yard waste, and bulk pickups, GraceHauling.com. You'll see those dumpsters all over the area. GraceHauling.com, GraceHauling.com, GraceHauling.com. All things rubbish and trash, GraceHauling.com. And last but not least is my man, Everett Jones. Everett Jones, JonesWater.com, JonesWater.com, 636-899-1040. The first thing to a happy, healthy home is fresh water and fresh air for your kids, for your grandparents, for yourself. Make sure that you're cooking, cleaning, drinking, everything needs fresh air and fresh water if you're going to be healthy. You know that you're out there and you've got some kind of skin ailment and you're going to have to go to the doctor because you got some kind of eczema or something going on with your skin. That's usually from nasty air in your home. If you're drinking that water and you look at it, you look at a cup and you see all that stuff floating around in there, don't drink that water. Get yourself a purification system. Make sure that you keep yourself healthy. So you're going to listen to the Robb Carter Show because we're going big here before too terribly long, and I want you along for the ride. JonesWater.com, JonesWater.com, 636-899-1040, 636-899-1040. Right there on the screen is something he wants me to promote. Helen Gelhart, Dr. Helen Gelhart, she's going to advertise with us. Had a conversation with her a couple days ago. She has this particular system in her offices, Healthway Deluxe Air Purification System. They have it in their offices. If it's good enough for Helen Gelhart, it is good enough for you. She is the good doctor. Air Purification Systems, Healthway Deluxe Air System. You'll be the filter or you'll buy the filter. JonesWater.com. If you want to do business with Everett on the Missouri side, it is St. Charles County, Lincoln, Franklin, Warren, St. Louis, and Jefferson. If you go to the east side, it is Madison, Monroe, Jersey, and St. Clair. JonesWater.com, JonesWater.com, 636-899-1040. Again, if you want to check out their website, JonesWater.com. And just a quick shout out because I haven't done it in a while. If you're into nutrition, Everett Jones and his family, they're about health. That's what they're into. They like to pay attention to their health. They like to make sure that people are eating good food. And Marissa is one of these people that says, Rob, I can fix your gut problems. Because I keep saying, man, everything I eat just blows up my gut like I'm pregnant. What is going on? I ate a carrot. It looks like I gained 10 pounds. It's insane. She said, I'll walk you through the process. She said, the number one thing you need to do is make sure that when you go to the store, if you have those comfort foods that you have to have, at least get the best one. I think the craziest thing that she does that I have never seen anybody advertise is that wherever you shop, say you're a Target shopper, she'll tell you the foods. If you like ice cream, she'll tell you the best ice cream to get at Target. If you like whatever, if you like, I like salsa, she'll tell you the best salsa to eat. If you go to Schnucks or Deerbergs or Walmart, wherever you go, she'll put that, she'll say, look, this is what you should be looking for. These are the foods you can buy. These are the best options. If you want to eat that nasty food, these are the best things you can do for yourself. Love her. Just a great person, and she'll take care of you, and it's not going to break the bank. A lot of these people charge $1,000, $2,000 a month. She is just somebody who loves health, and she loves to teach it. So if you're interested, just go to the nutrition tab at joneswater.com. Just go to the nutrition tab and look for her services. Give her a call. Marissa Jones Nutrition, now a proud family member of the joneswater.com.
She's got a master's in nutrition.
Oh, yeah. She's the real deal.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yep. 636-899-1040, 636-899-1040. And you'll like her. I mean, the Jones family is whatever he did to raise his kids with him and Jen, they did it right. They're just a great family. I've been hanging with them a lot lately. I think that's all I got for you, Isaiah. We go long every day now. You gotta get me out of this habit. That's when my friend I was talking to, my buddy last night, and his wife goes, I go, what do you think? She goes, I like it. She goes, it does get long. I'm trying to work, and she goes, it does get long. I said, I know. We're kind of doing the Joe Rogan method though. So you can listen whenever you want. If you don't like a piece of it and you're listening, say you go in and you're going to listen at 8:00 tonight, Isaiah, you can just, you don't like what I'm talking about. You just fast forward until you find out something that you do like, or you can watch it live and hear everything, but it makes it easy to just maneuver and hear bits and pieces. You can hear the whole thing. I'm not expecting but more than maybe, 3 to 5 to 10,000 people in the short term to listen to it live. It's live, it's social media, but I do expect it to be many, 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 many people to be watching the clips and to watch portions of the show when we start to get the advertising rolling. So when the digital advertising starts, we'll find out how far we can get this baby out. Again, if you'd like to donate to the program or the show, People's Lobby Mo, peopleslobbymo.com. $5 a month, anything of that nature that will help us grow the show, grow the message. We'd really appreciate it. Isaiah and I put a lot of time into this, primarily because we want to talk about things that nobody likes to talk about. And number two, we plan to get some results with the things that we find ill in our society and in our government. That's all I got for you. Isaiah, have a great day. Have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday morning at 9 a.m. on the Robb Carter Show. Have a great day, everybody.
See you guys.